Welcome to the third session of our Storm and Sail game titled Close to the Sun, where our motley collection of crew aboard the Highwind are attempting to locate the, I don't like to use the word genius, but the noted inventor Daedalus, who is believed to be the only man to have returned from the fabled golden city of Della Fortuna. Due to unfortunate circumstances, it's led to them making a deal with the devil in the form of Rot-eyed Jack, where they've agreed to find this Daedalus and return the man to Rot-eyed Jack. So I'm going to do my usual and ask each of our motley collection of players to introduce themselves and give a brief description of their character. So starting on my list at the bottom, we'll start with Lloyd.
I know it's the first person is the best. Hi, I'm Lloyd, and I'll be playing Natalio Costa de Volia, who is a high fair bishop in hiding on the high seas, looking for his his adopted son somewhere amongst the waters.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go on to Matthew next.
Hello, I'm Matthew, aka Regala Dragonborn on the YouTubes. I am playing Roland Howe, who is a washed-up Windcaller child prodigy, and also it happens to be the captain of the Highwind of this motley crew, who at the moment is just trying to survive between the Sirens, Rot-eyed Jack, Nathaniel's crazy plans, and somehow got to get a payday in there because the crew can't survive on nothing.
Very, very true. Thank you very much. We next move on to Rob.
I'm Rob, aka the Swamper. I'm playing Pierre Dortin, a former noble prince who is in no way motley. And he's started an adventuring, swashbuckling, happy-go-lucky type, trying to leave his past behind.
Thank you very much. And we're pleased to be joined again by Tashif. Tashif?
I'm Tashif, and I'm playing Thesbia. What's that sound? Okay, a bastard born on a pirate ship who learned the subtle art from the natives and rose up to marry Nathaniel's adoptive daughter.
Okay, splendid. Thank you very much. So when our game begins, we start off on the Singing Islands, this lush, fairly overgrown island with a small ruined temple to the Water Lord at the centre of it, one of the deities of our setting. And when we begin our scene, as the camera sort of pans into the middle of these ruins, the sunlight glinting off the fragmentary mosaics in green and blue tiling that somehow cling to the walls despite the passage of years. As we move in, we see a hooded female figure wearing a dark blue robe. She is kneeling next to a large, almost like it might have been once an altar, but now it's cracked and ruined beyond all recognition. And on that altar lies the unconscious body of Thasbia. Thasbia, your eyes flutter open and you find yourself gazing upwards into a clear blue sky. The sun is relentlessly beating down. The weather is quite warm and humid. You can see this young-looking woman wearing this blue robe. One of her hands is laid gently on your chest. You can see from the complete whiteness of her eyes that she's obviously blind.
What is my last memory?
Your last memory is you were on board the Highwind, and then you had this strangest feeling. You were in your quarters just about to go to sleep for the night. Then you had the strangest feeling. It was almost as though you were underwater and you were drowning. But you're not sure if it was a dream or whether you were awake. And then the next thing you knew, you were on this island staring up into the blue sky. You've got vague memories of your father-in-law, Nathaniel, and others trying to speak to you. But it sounded like they were really far away and you couldn't respond to them. Shout though you may to get them to hear you, they didn't appear to be able to hear your voice. And then here you are.
In a strange location with this strange-looking woman.
Indeed.
Is that a compel to completely misinterpret the situation?
And how do you plan to misinterpret it?
some sort of evil water witch who has cast some spell on me, bringing her to her lair somewhere.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I will give you a fate point for that if that's how you choose to interpret it.
Alright, do I have all my belongings on me?
Or you don't have all of your belongings on you. However, as you sort of look around a bit as you wake up, you see your belongings are actually sort of folded neatly and placed at the end of this altar that you're lying on.
Okay, I am going to hit this one in the face and go for my gun.
Okay, not a problem. I'm not going to have you make a roll for that. You strike this woman across the chin. She falls backwards with a slight groan. You grab your gun up. You can see that she is obviously blind as she's sort of like reaching around trying to work out where she is as she's sort of lying on the floor.
Okay, well, the blindness doesn't fool me because, of course, I know that, you know, if she's a sorceress of any kind, that she's probably more powerful than I could ever, you know, hope to stand up against, especially if she just, like, magically teleported me through the water here. So, yeah, I'm going to shoot her.
Okay, not a problem. I'm not going to have you make a roll again because she's just like sat there. You shoot her through the chest. You see blood fountain out of her back. The strangest thing, though, as your bullet hits her and you see the blood spray out of the back of her cloak, you actually notice a slight smile on her face. As she sort of falls backwards, you can see like a bit of blood trickle out from between her lips. And you hear her sort of croaking a bubbling voice like, at last, I'm free.
That freaks me out because my immediate interpretation is that she was harboring some sort of evil spirit that I just released.
She's lying there in a pool of her own blood that's slowly pooling around her on the fertile soil of this island. She sort of reaches a shaking hand. You can see that she's obviously not long for this world. She reaches a shaking hand up towards you and then she says, "Your friends, they've just left the island. There's a boat on the beach. You might still be able to catch them. Thank you."
Mm-hmm. I don't know what to make of that, but it feels like a taunt. So I'm gonna. I'm fully clothed, right? My belongings
Yes.
were just my extra. Okay, yeah, I'm taking up my extra stuff and I'm leaving.
Okay, not a problem. As you start to leave, you hear her in her sort of last dying gasp. She says, The cure I've given you is only temporary. You still need to find the person who placed the curse on.
Yes. Now, as a practitioner of the subtle art, do I have any means of knowing that I'm cursed other than like just seeing the effects of it?
Make me a scribe roll.
Okay.
Okay, yes, not a problem. You can feel that there is indeed a sort of dark energy, if you want to call it that, a sort of dark spiritual presence overshadowing your own being. And it feels very, having interacted with Rot-Eyed Jack before, it feels very familiar to you. You recognise it as a lesser version of his curse. And as you sort of get up, and presumably you've been walking around to gather your stuff, as you've been saying, you notice as you look down that where your footprints have impressed in the soft soil of this island, there actually appears to be seawater in your footprints.
Okay, I shiver at that, and I search for my belongings, and I pull out what's like essentially my voodoo doll, and I begin to stick white pins into it, because white pins are for healing magic, and try to call upon the spirits to remove the curse.
Okay, not a problem. Make your roll. Okay, as you sort of do this small ceremony, you're placing these white pins into the doll that you've crafted, you do indeed feel this dark sort of overshadowing presence start to recede from you.
I begin like speeding up, and I kind of like, I don't know, like, under my breath, like more prayers towards the spirits to just like thank them.
Okay, given that you're on a sort of fairly high, you're on like the highest point of the island, as you're moving around, sort of looking around, you can see sort of just a little bit out to sea beyond the rocks around this island. You can actually see the high wind there, and you can just about make out, if you squint, a small rowing boat heading towards it, although you can't see who's in the rowing boat at this distance.
Okay. So I look through my belongings and realize that I don't have my telescope, and I must have left it on the ship. So I'm gonna cast under my breath and begin to head over there.
Okay, not a problem. So I'm going to jump to the other guys now. I'm going to say that in the time it takes the Zebra to do that, you guys will have arrived back out of the high wind. Your boat is hauled up onto the ship, and the three of you, with the various crew you took with you, are able to climb back aboard your main ship.
So I'm Pierre. Anyway, he's climbing the ship, the ladder. Happily, he feels like we've been successful. We went there, we survived the Sirens, we got a cure for a friend. Like, well done, mission accomplished. At least that's how he feels about it. So he's going to be smiling as he climbs back on board. Hello, everyone. Yes, we did well. You should be fine in a little while.
One of the new crew members runs towards you, and he's like, "Oh, you're right, quartermaster. How did it all go?"
It is a long story. Perhaps the captain can relate to you. It is good you kept your distance, huh? You do not want to cry with those women. Oh, very tempting.
Well, it's funny you should say that, sir, but, must have been about 10 minutes ago or so. They all appear to have left the rocks and disappeared under the water. We've not seen hide nor hair of them since.
What? I maybe go over and grab a spyglass off of one of them, and then
Okay, you train
I'm
the
looking to confirm what he
spyglass.
said with my own eyes.
You train the spyglass on the rocks, and indeed you can see no sign of the sultry sirens that previously graced it with their presence.
Could someone please help me on board the ship?
A couple of the crew run over and they're like, sorry, sir, and they
Thank you.
fairly gently sort of help you on board the boat in deference to your age.
All right. Okay. Pierre?
Oui. Un moment, monsieur. Capitaine. Look here.
Yes, my
hand him
good.
the spyglass. I hand the spyglass point towards the island. The women,
Okay.
they are
I shall take a
all
look.
gone?
Indeed, you look across to Captain, and you see that there is no sign of these women who were previously lounging on the rocks. Although now you look through the spyglass, you do notice that the water appears to be becoming quite choppy around the island.
If I'm not mistaken, Pierre, I would say that island is beginning to sink. Did we do that?
Je ne sais pas. I explained in the fact, and what's going on? Alan, she is changing. I hope this does not fare bad for Desvia.
I certainly hope not, but I'm far more worried about what you said on our way over here. Why did you tell that girl you were in contact with the Lord of Water?
No. I told her that I would have a conversation with him on Earthfit to get this curse lifted.
But that's not
And
true.
if that were possible, Yes, but look whose life was on the line.
You lied
We were to
about
lose
the Water Lord.
Tasbia. have been over this. How else was I to save him?
Okay, so guys,
Okay.
I'm going to jump away from your argument. Thazima, presumably you were making your way down to the beach, is that correct? Or
Yeah, but then halfway through, I'm like, wait, what am I doing? And then I just step into some shadows, and I use my shadowy powers to see if I can transport myself back to my quarters.
okay, that's going to be fairly difficult at the range they are, but I'll say you can make a roll for it.
Okay. And how we're doing this is saying that it cost me a fate point to use the power and a roll because it's so difficult.
That's correct, yeah. Okay, not a problem. As you sort of reach the boat, which is indeed where the now deceased woman said it would be, you're like, oh, what am I doing? And you sort of like crouch down in the shadows at the base of this boat, and you feel yourself sinking into it. It's almost like tar. And then you step out of the shadows in your quarters on board the ship. You can hear there's some sort of argument apparently going on outside. So, Pierre and Nathaniel, if you want to take it away with continue with your discussion.
Monsieur, understand this. His life was on the line. And what crimes have I committed? I lied to a woman, the woman on the rock, and I lied to another woman.
Look, the lies
You've
are
never told
irrelevant.
lies to women? I have told many
No,
lies to
it's
women.
not the problem. I get it. You lied. All right. You really shouldn't lie to that poor innocent girl. But more importantly, you lied about the Water Lord, the
Yes, but
God
I
of Water.
Yes, but I told him nothing. I have had no conversations with this Water Lord. I merely lied to a woman. And you, look at the choices you made. Making the deal with this wrought-eyed Jack, offering to give up this Daedalus.
We had no
I merely
choice.
told two lies to two
Kill it.
women to save the life of someone you greatly care about.
But I didn't
Defend
use the
Monsieur,
Water
you're-
Lord's name in vain like you just did. This is not
Wait.
some
No,
kind
monsieur.
of...
No, monsieur.
Wait,
I
wait,
did
wait a
no
minute.
such thing.
Sorry,
Who
hang on.
do you- who do you know
Hold on,
that you-
I'm
Just a
busy.
moment.
Wait, what?
We will be with you in a minute. Wait.
Okay, so Tazma steps out and says, hold on a second, at which point Nathaniel says, yeah, hold on a minute, Tazma, we're just going to finish it. What?
Is it?
What
How
the...
is it that
How did you...
he can? But
What the-
I look back at
What
the
was that?
island. I look at Nathaniel. I look at him. Back at Nathaniel.
I did the same thing.
Scratch my head.
So the
You're all
most,
right. And I give him a
Yes.
hug.
Turns out-
I go up and I just pinch your arm to make sure you're real flesh and blood.
Oh, stop that.
It just,
How did you get back
I
on
do not-
board?
how is this possible?
We left you on the... How?
Well, after apparently I was cursed by Ronai Jack, I woke up under the watchful gaze of one of his cronies, probably another powerful subtle art user. But after I killed her, I immediately fled the scene and used my shadow powers to appear back aboard the ship.
I look directly at Pierre.
Yeah, I stare back at you like knowingly, like exactly what's going on in your head. And then I look back at Thasbia a little bit horrified. You murdered this woman, this blind woman, this woman who cured you.
And
Dude,
the
what now?
blue. Roland, we need to leave!
It is your son.
You have my
I think
absolute
I am
agreement,
tired.
Nathaniel.
Tabitha, I'm glad you're alright. We're going to talk later. We need to leave right now.
Wait.
You hear the crewman in the crow's nest shout down, Captain, water's getting a bit choppy round here.
Yes. Go, set sail.
Make sail, man.
elbow
Let's
in
get out
the
of
captain
here.
to give the order, like.
Captain, full sail, you heard it, man, cast off! And they start making preparations to get you underway as quickly as possible. And soon you find yourself, the wind has risen to quite sort of dramatic sort of gusts, whereas previously the sea was fairly calm. Whereas now there are sort of waves like almost lashing against the side of your ship, sort of throwing it a little bit from left to right. Probably quite sort of sickness-inducing to anyone who doesn't have their sea legs. As the sails are unfurled, instantly they're like, woof, the wind catches them and your ship stops moving away from the island.
So maybe once we get going, I'm going to track down Nathaniel. Monsieur, I think we need to have a conversation about something.
I think we need to have a bit more than a conversation about something. If he did what I think he just did, then
Yes, you see, yes. You see, I merely lied to a woman. I said nothing to a mortal, made no promises, no curses.
yeah,
that.
I am really
But-
sorry, but I'm pretty sure your problems literally just went down to the bottom of the line. We just
No,
killed.
no. I am full agreement with you. I am saying the crime I committed, the sin I did is nothing compared to what he has done. I fear there may be some wrath coming our way. You are the one who knows of the god. Perhaps you can tell me what to expect from this.
Well, the gods are kind to those who worship them and cruel to those who break them back. There's stories, people trapped in the water, unable to breathe, constantly drowning but not allowed to die. People thrown into the middle of hot volcanoes, burning from the legs up, only for the bodies to be restored again and then put back inside it. People trapped within thunderstorms themselves, struck by lightning every 2 or 3 minutes, until finally they can no longer see themselves, and all they can feel is just the pain of lightning over and over. There are a million, and there are so many ways this could go wrong, and I don't even know where to start.
As you're saying this, Nathaniel, you have noticed that dark clouds have started to sort of roll over the sky, and in the distance you hear a of thunder. Rain starts to fall.
I generally have no idea how far we've gone right now, Pierre.
What?
But if you have some
I
kind of
hear-
god that you worship, now would be a time to ask for forgiveness.
No, monsieur. I have done little against this god, as have you. However, Tesbia,
I'm sorry, what are you saying?
he is the one who has killed this god's love. It
No,
is
that's
he
not how
who
those
shall feel the full brunt of the wrath.
That's not how
I
those see
suggest
it.
we make for. The gods know all, and that is what occurred, monsieur. I lied to a woman. He killed her.
At this point, can I just check
I
whereabouts
see.
on the ship you're all standing?
Roland's up
I
by
figure
the
I'm below decks because I want to
wheel?
be having a private conversation with Nathaniel.
Yeah,
Roland's
I'm
up by the
probably-
wheel
we're
trying
probably
to help navigate as it seems things are getting a little bit stormy up here.
Okay, so Nathaniel and Pierre, you're below deck. Roland, you're at the wheel. How about Thasbia? Where are you?
Okay, so I was going to go to the captain and ask him what went on, but since water seems to be getting choppy, it seems to be getting into a storm, I'm actually heading to my room so I can cast a spell on the ship to hopefully help us.
Okay, not a problem. So you start preparing your sort of half-hour ceremony to do that. Okay, meanwhile, Roland, up on the deck of the ship, it is getting extremely choppy. So I'm going to ask you now, can you please make me a navigator roll, Roland? Okay. Are you sticking with that roll?
No. I'm gonna invoke. It's a fair point to reroll, invoking my Captain of the High Wind aspect.
Okay, not a problem. Make your reroll.
Please be good. Please be good. Please be good.
Okay, that's fine. And I'm going to ask Tashif, can you please make me a roll for the crew? It's at +2.
Okay.
Okay, that's not a problem. The ship is being tossed left and right in this rapidly gathering storm. The crew, however, being sort of practiced veterans of the sea, are absolutely fine. A couple of them get sort of like knocked off their feet, etc., but they manage to scramble back to their posts. Yourself, however, Roland, as the ship is rocked violently to port side, you find yourself sort of thrown away from the wheel. You don't go overboard or anything like that, but you're sort of knocked off your feet by the violence of this motion of the ship.
Roland gets up slowly, dusting himself off with the sea sprays, covered him in horrible brine and things. He gets up. Keep at it, men. It's getting slightly choppy.
Greywater runs over to you, his grizzled face a mask of concern, and he says, I don't like this, Captain. It's not natural. Not natural, I tell you. The sea was calm a moment ago. What the hell's going on?
I'd like to make my way topside, and I'm going to say I have some sort of crude megaphone, like some sort of cone.
Oh, that's easy. That's easy enough to make. That's not a problem.
Yeah, that I can yell orders to, and I want to try and give a rousing speech, a confidence-boosting speech, to help the crew, do their best and not be swayed or feared by what's going on.
Okay, make me an officer roll.
It is what I do well. Here we go. I believe in you.
Yeah, not a problem. What would you like to call this advantage?
We're gonna make it.
Okay, we're gonna make it. You have a free invoke of that. So as Greywater's run over to you, Captain Howe, and he's like, "It's not natural, Captain. What the hell's going on?" Yeah, Pierre through this improvised megaphone shouting, "Come on, boys, we've been through worse than this. We can make it." You see the crew sort of redoubling their efforts. Greywater's still looking at you, Captain Howe.
It's just another storm, my boy. We'll be fine.
He says, "My boy, I'm old enough to be your father, Captain. I tell you, it's not natural."
Can I grab Tavista and bring him down below deck?
I'm already below deck.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
I'll
no
go
problem.
look for him since Pierre's headed off.
Okay, as you walk in, I'm going to say it's just at the end of your sort of that conversation. It's just at the end of your ceremony, Tazza. So, what are you attempting to do with your ceremony? I presume you give an advantage to the ship.
Yes. So, if I give an advantage to the ship, it'll benefit everyone on board.
Yeah, it's effectively an advantage that can be used by anyone on board the ship.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm gonna ask it to make the crew aboard this ship have like supernatural levels of endurance and strength.
Okay, now if you wish, you could just use it to add another free invoke to the advantage that's already on the we're gonna make it advantage. Or you can call it something different if you prefer.
No, I want to call it that because it gives us narrative permission to say that the crew won't get fatigued and stuff like that.
So you're going to call it crew with supernatural resilience or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, make your roll.
Okay. Okay. You spend a fate point here and you got a fair.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so I'll spend a fate point to make that a great roll because I'm a powerful sorcerer and such like that.
Not a problem. You finish your ceremony just as the door flies open and Nathaniel comes running in. To those of you on deck, whether the combination of Pierre's rousing speech and the crew seemingly shrugging off the effects of the weather and the rain and the storm, they grit their teeth and they're working as hard as any crew you've seen on the high seas. There's a look of steely determination on their face. All of the fear that they previously had about this weird storm appears to have left them, and they're all sort of lashing ropes, tying things down, manning the sails and the topmast, etc. So, Nathaniel, you open the door, you see Thazeba in there. If you care to describe what your sort of trappings look like spread around you, Thazeba.
Okay, so you see that I actually have like a very crude wooden carving of the ship that I've put like in the center of like a kind of bizarre circular chalk circle, and I'm actually like chanting and occasionally putting my left hand on the ship to stop it from like moving out of the circle because the ship's swaying so much.
So that is what you see.
I come in, I'm like, what are you doing? It's no time for games. We need to get you below deck, somewhere secure, anywhere.
What?
I try and drag him away.
Wait, stop! What are you doing?
I'm getting you somewhere safe. It's dangerous here.
First off, there's nowhere more safer, and second of all, I need to do this.
Look, I have no time for your stupid, weird, whatever the heck it is you do for fun. This is important. I need to get you somewhere safe. I don't know what's happening. I need you to come with me. We need to sit down and pray to the gods and ask for forgiveness.
There's nowhere else that's more safe on the ship.
I look, I turn outside, I look at the storm and go, that storm begs to differ. We're still going to be on the ship.
If the storm destroys the ship, it'll destroy all the ship equally. Or we'll see.
I need to pray, and I need to pray for you. But I cannot ask for forgiveness if you do not come with me right now. Do you know what you've done?
No.
You've angered the Water Lord.
Okay.
You have messed with powers beyond both your and my control, and now they are rampaging outside, hoping to take the pound of flesh. And by pound of flesh, I mean you and probably everyone else on the ship. We need to pray.
Okay, wait. Can you do that here?
No, I cannot do this here. Come with me. Will you stop being an impudent child and come with me to my room?
Where? Go
come
where?
with me to my room. I said, like, grab him by the ear. I'm like, Argh!
All right. Just you see me grab something from one of my drawers. Okay, let's go.
Right, I'll take it to my room and I'll force him onto his knees because I mean he doesn't have to do any of this, by the way. Just so you know, I'm not making a character do this. I'm making a character do this, but he can't just stop me. I'm quite weak.
Yeah.
I'm forcing him to his knees. I'm going down on my knees as well, and I'm gonna start praying to the Water Lord for some form of forgiveness.
Okay, not a problem. Now, how successful are you at praying to the Water Lord for forgiveness? I'm open to suggestions for a role that you might like to make here.
Well, I can't. Well, I guess I should make some kind of role. I'm just not quite sure if the gods listen to people who've already done horribly wrong. I'm praying for their forgiveness and asking that. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. Oh my Jesus Christ! I am asking the Water Lord for anything he wants me to do as compensation for the crimes that my son-in-law has committed.
Okay, since you're effectively trying to, for want of a better term, socialize with your god, make me an officer role.
I don't even know what. Oh my God. Let's make a deal with the Stormlord, guys, because I haven't made enough deals as it is. Woo! Me and the Stormlord are... 8 days without... We're going to be in a stool. I got a 4. I don't know how good I need to be, but I'm going to spend one of my fate points to make that a 6.
Okay, not a problem. As you're both on your knees and you're praying, there is an ominous groan from the edge of the ship adjoining your quarters, and a small part of the exterior hull springs just a tiny leak. It's quickly plugged, you're not going to sink or anything ridiculous like that, but a gush of water jettisons into the room, and it forms into a small puddle in front of you. As you stare at this puddle, it slowly begins to the way it trickles, slowly disappearing through the planks in the decking of your ship, and it forms a single number, the number 1.
The heck? Can I work out what that? I looked at it like I don't understand what that means, but like, one? What one? What? What is he asking for?
Okay, I won't make you make a roll for it since you're well in with the religion, obviously being a bishop in hiding. You know that the gods typically in the stories are very much a sort of one in, one out sort of thing. They basically demand an equal price for anything that's taken from them.
Oh.
Obviously, Thaziba, you see this puddle form this single character just before it seeps through the planks and disappears.
Is your god asking us to... I shrug, because no one's told me what's going on.
I'll look at Tasiba and I'll be like, Tasiba, listen to me very carefully. This is very important. Do you understand me?
Okay,
7 days from now, you're going to fight Rotai Jack. I want you to be at your best as you can. Hopefully, within 4 days from now, you will actually go out and meet Daedalus. Find from him where the treasure, where the La Fortuna is, where it holds the Philosopher's Stone. From there, find out if my son Gregory is anywhere near there. Do you understand me? Do you understand my words?
I understand the words, but why are you saying this?
Just in case. Why don't you stay down here, and I'm going to go tell the captain what we found.
What did you find?
I'll tell you when I tell the captain. All right? Now, stay here, be a good boy, and find my son.
Yes, father?
I'll nod to him, and I'll close the door, and I head up to the top deck.
Okay.
When you leave, I pull out a voodoo doll of the captain and some like prayer beads, and I've been like kind of chanting like this entire time, and I continue a ritual to cast to imbue our captain with like extra like leadership ability or decisiveness or whatever, which I'm probably not going to be done for another half hour.
Indeed, that will take about half an hour, but whilst you're preparing that, Nathaniel, you run onto the deck. You can still see Captain Hauser wrestling with the wheel. He's like recovered his place. You can see that Greywater, the sailmaster, is sort of helping him sort of like hold onto this wheel. The two of them are struggling to sort of turn it amidst this choppy, stormy sea.
All right, so first thing I do is I go to the captain, and I go, Roland!
This is not a good time, Nathaniel, as I'm like pulling it, as I'm pitching
Just
down into the swell and there's
listen
waves
to me very
battering.
carefully. This is very important. If you happen to meet him again, what's called Brother Father Castell, remember the promise I made to him and how much he hates Rotai Jack. It's very important you remember that.
Okay, but I don't see how this affects us now.
Don't worry about it. I'm gonna run and try and find Pierre.
Nathaniel, get below.
I'm on deck. I've been kind of going around from station to station, mostly bolstering morale as I go.
Yeah, Pierre's not difficult to find. He's shouting encouragement to the crew and directions to them.
Pierre, I need a favor.
Now, mon ami?
Yes, now. I need you to promise to find my son.
Where is he?
Just say yes. Give me your word as a duelist.
Yes. Well,
Give me your word
I will help
as a
you
duelist.
find him. Yes, I give my word. Yes.
Good.
Yes. The timings, you're not great.
Okay, then I will head to the back of the ship.
Okay.
Where the lifeboats are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna see if I can't get inside one of the lifeboats.
Yep,
I'm gonna cut up. What?
Not a problem. I was going to say, Pierre, you see the lifeboats are near where you are. You see Nathaniel run and jump into one of these lifeboats.
What are you doing?
Saving your lives. I'm gonna cut the ropes from the lifeboats to make it fall in.
Okay.
Capita!
Now I'm going to offer you a fate point for a compel there, Nathaniel. Since you are pretty old, how long is it going to take you to cut through these thick ropes? I mean, you're not exactly the sort of swashbuckling hero to just and slice through the ropes. You're going to have to sort of be there for a little bit soon.
Yeah, but if I do that, they'll stop me. If they stop me, they're not going to me sacrifice myself and everyone will die. I have to do it. I don't have a choice. I'm going to spend a fate point to not refuse
to compel.
Yeah, no problems. You slice through the rope. There is a brief stomach-churning moment as the boat drops into the water with a loud water sprays up either side of it. The small boat is being sort of thrown hither and yon by the swells and peaks of the water.
As he's cutting the rope, I'm running for him, but I get there too late. Like he falls away.
You literally reach out to like grab the rope, Pierre, and you grab hold of it just as he cuts it, and you see you're sort of left holding a tiny bit of the rope that's on your side. You see him drop away from you into the water.
This is madness!
And I go, you promised you'd find my son! Don't forget your promise!
I did not say you had to jump overboard!
You'll be free! And while I'm inside the boat, I will pray for what I consider to be the last time, saying that the sacrifice be made.
Okay, not a problem. You begin praying. Okay.
I'm going to grab it near my crewman. I'm going to pull him to the rail. Do not take your eyes off that ship. And then I'm going to go running below decks looking for Tasbia.
Okay, not a problem. One of the crew says, yes, Quartermaster, of course, and he leans over the side. He's like, get me a rope, we've got a man overboard, and he starts like shouting to the rest of the crew. You run below deck, Pierre. Thasby is not terribly difficult to find. Thasby, if you want to make your roll for the ceremony you're doing for Captain Howe.
Alright, I will spend a fate point because I'm a powerful sorcerer.
Okay, what do you want to call this advantage?
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna call it I've imbued the captain with supreme decisiveness. I was about to say indecisiveness. And that would have been terrible.
Okay, Captain Howe, you have a temporary aspect of supreme decisiveness with one free invoke. Okay. As the ceremony is concluding, Pierre, you burst into the chamber. You can see Thasby is there. You've packed up your stuff, Thasby. Pierre comes running in, looking a little bit out of breath. He's covered in water.
He's jumped overboard.
What are you trying to say?
He's jumped overboard. He has jumped overboard. Come. I run out of the room.
Yeah.
Okay, by the time you guys get back up onto deck, the two crew members have like thrown a rope down towards you, Nathaniel. Obviously, assuming that somehow you've like fallen overboard and this boat's gone with you, and they're like, "Take hold of the rope, Bishop. Take hold of the rope. We can pull you back in." You can see them sort of like getting battered by the rain as they're trying to shield their faces and get this rope near to you. It's sort of dangling, well, just within your reach, really.
I know, and I'm so like, of course, I'm terrified because like I'm a mild-mannered priest. I don't know what I'm doing, but if I don't do this, Tabitha will die, and I have to do what my god commands. So I have to do this. So I stay in the boat.
Okay, Pierre and Tasba, as you get sort of to the back of the boat, you can just about make out Nathaniel's small lifeboat being thrown up and down by these waves. You can see the crew have sort of thrown this rope overboard. One of them looks at you and he's like, "He's lost his senses, sir. We've thrown him a rope. He's not taking it, Quartermaster. I think he's lost his mind." And they're sort of trying to shield themselves from the battering rain, which is getting heavier with every second that passes.
I'm going to nod at that sentiment and look at Tasbia. See what he wants to do.
I'm going to stare, but then I'm going to send my shadow out to see if it can pull the boat in. Probably not.
Okay, you don't think it'll be possible given the swelling of the water, etc.
Okay, so yeah. So you see my shadow dart across the water, but then it's kind of like broken up, like as if the waves that are moving upon it like gave it a beat down, and it like retreats back to me.
As you're doing that, you see this grizzled figure of the sailmaster, Greywater, runs up to the edge of the ship, and he shouts, "Don't worry, Quartermaster, I'll get him." And he climbs up on the back of the ship, and you see him sort of tensing, obviously getting ready to like make a leap for this boat.
Can Captain Howe see this crazed priest in a boat by any chance?
You can't really see him in the boat, but you can certainly see there's like a number of people gathered at the back of the ship, and there's a lot of commotion going on.
As the boat's like, because obviously the boat's rocking from side to side, I imagine, in this storm.
Yeah, you can't really hear what they're saying because of the thunder and the driving rain and the sound of the sea, but you see there's definitely some sort of commotion going on at the far end of the ship.
Do I have a number 2 next to me, or someone who can take the wheel?
Well, it was Greywater, but he seems to have like run off to try and help with whatever's going on.
Damn. Double damn. Is there anyone?
Yeah, there's loads of crew about. You could easily just shout, "Take the wheel."
Take the wheel, yeah.
He's decisive right now.
Yeah, you're super
Take the
decisive.
wheel. Yeah, you see.
One of the crew's like,
idea.
"Aye, sir," and he runs across with like one of his fellows, grabs hold of the wheel, and he's like, "We can't take much more of this, sir. She'll break up. She'll break up." The wheel's been taken.
So I'm going to run to the side. I'm going to take one look at Nathaniel, and I'm going to shout down, "There is more than one Stormlord, you idiot. Get in the boat." And I'm going to yank him with my storm calling into the backup.
Okay, now, if I remember correctly, you're a wind caller.
I am a wind caller.
Okay, not a problem. So I'm going to ask you to make an opposed roll against me.
Okay.
So feel free to make your roll. It's since you're effectively trying to bring him back on board, I would say this would be a navigator roll.
Navigator, you've got it. This would be a good time to roll well.
Okay,
I am going to add 2 to that.
Okay, you're still losing by 1.
Can he use the free invoke of
Supreme decisiveness.
Yep.
Yeah, because he made that decisive action.
Not a problem.
Because I'm currently not a washed-up wind caller. I am a decisive wind caller.
You're a decisive washed-up wind caller. Yeah.
Okay, so it's strange, but as you reach out to sort of bend the winds to your whim, Captain Howe, you almost feel as though there's some force, like a very powerful force, acting in opposition to you. However, you're able to push through that. Describe how you summon the winds and how they bring Nathaniel back on deck.
Yeah, so what Nathaniel feels is he feels this like these 2 pair of hands almost grab him by the shoulders, and then these leaf-like wings start to appear around his back and take shape, and they just flap once, and he flies up into the air and lands right next to me.
Okay, so Nathaniel, as you look around, you see the air shimmer sort of around your back, and for a few moments it's almost as though the currents of air form into like wings. There's this as they beat once, and you're literally like propelled, almost jettisoned, like ejector seat style, through the air and land on the deck of the High Wind next to Captain Howe.
So I'll probably be out of breath when I land. So I'm like,
And I'm gonna grab him by the shirt and then backhand him.
Hey! Stop!
Ow!
As you're doing this, there's a huge swell hits the side of the boat, and the High Wind is jolted. You hear a "ah!" and Greywater like falls off the edge of the ship where he was standing on, and there's a loud
God damn it! We just got all our crew back on board.
I know,
Well,
right? Fucking hell, don't...
hang on,
Guys, we don't
I
lose
think this
Greywater, guys.
counts.
She's like the best NPC.
This counts as a 1-for-1.
Fucking Thomas gives no fucks. Thomas gives no fucks. So I'm being held. I'm like dazed, and I'm like,
I shrug. Worth it.
A couple of people are like, "Man overboard!"
I'm like, they wanted a life. I didn't want to risk the
Throw
crew
that man
again.
out.
What are you talking?
Okay, Pierre, since you're sort of like the only one who's not tussling and you're sort of still at the back of the ship, as you look over the side, you see sort of Greywater, who you know as a sailmaster is like an excellent swimmer. I mean, he's survived like 3 or 4 wars he can swim a bit. It's fairly safe to say. However, as you look at him, you can like see him disappearing underneath the water. His arms are sort of flailing as though he's struggling to keep himself afloat, but it's as though something's like pulling him down under the water. And for a few moments, sort of beneath the water, you see what appear to be sort of shadowy figures, like almost like holding onto his legs and sort of pulling him down.
So I'm going to stare kind of open-mouthed, horrified, as I look over watching this. And I'm going to take off my hat, and I'll put it across my chest and say a silent little brief prayer for him. I'm going to say that because of what happened on the island, it's not too hard to figure out that the gods took this guy. He would have lasted more than 3 seconds otherwise.
Yeah,
there was something definitely beyond our control here. Like, there was no way we could have prevented this.
Roland is screaming.
So I'm going to go back to the rest of them.
Okay, so what do you say you're doing, Roland?
He is screaming in Nathaniel's face at the moment, emboldened for some reason. There are times for sacrifice and there are times for boldness. This is a time to run to the storm. This is not the first time I have outran a storm, and it will not be the last. And you can sort of see that as there's like thunder and there's lightning crashing down, you can see the scars in the back of his skull are kind of highlighted in this darkness. And he's like, throwing your life away is pointless, man. You'll not find your son by sacrificing your own. Sorry, go ahead.
After you.
I'm like trying to defend my father-in-law, but then I realize that you're going to be like this for a few more hours.
Legit.
I kind of slink away.
Slinking away. Like, what have I created?
I'm trying to get a word in edgeways, like, but you.
I'm going to come over, I'm going to kneel down, and I'm going to just gently put my hand on Nathaniel's chest by his shoulder.
You made a deal with Right, Jack, and you will be here to see it through. Mark my words.
Your services are needed, priest. I water, he is dead. The sea has claimed him.
Really? I go off and look over the side where he jumped off.
You look over to the side, and as the storm appears to be slowly receding and the water is calming down a little, you can just see Greywater's tricorn hat floating on the water, bobbing up and down.
Could I ask something extremely strange?
Go ahead.
Are his eyes there? Because technically, if it's 1-for-1, I killed a blind person.
Oh my god.
If anything...
She still had eyes, they were just not functional.
His eyes aren't there, just the remains of his hat.
So, I'm going to stand up, and I'm going to look down at Nathaniel, kind of angry, blaming him perhaps wrongly. Yes, I hope your God is happy. His appetite seems to be sated for now. He has claimed someone. Just be glad it was not you. I'm going to walk away, a little disgusted. Not at him so much as the gods, the god he worships.
Not a problem.
I'm gonna just slowly get up and like my soaked clothing and like my super sad face because once again because I'm trying to do the thing that freaking Pierre just told me not to do, which was not kill people on the boat, sacrifice them, has backfired. So I've still done it anyway. I'm standing up like I'm feeling really sad. I'm like I can feel like the emotion, everything just running in my head. I'm just like, I'll say a few words. Let me get changed. And I head downstairs.
John, can I ask a question? Does the wind caller, the chief wind caller, have a name?
The wind god, effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's known by some as the Tempest Lord.
The Tempest Lord. Okay, so when
Most of the gods have like a fair few different names. Like technically, the Water Lord is also known as the Storm Lord to some. The Wind Lord is also known as the Tempest Lord to some. The Fire Lord is the Inferno Lord to some.
So Roland, unusually bold at this moment, takes the wheel again, and he bellows out into the sky as he takes the wheel. Tempest Lord, the Sea Lord attempts to bring us down, but I don't think this is the day that we go. Let's see if we can ride.
Oh my
These
fucking
waves.
god! I'm done! I'm done!
Okay, and after a few moments, the storm, its fury apparently spent, the sea resumes its previously calm demeanour. The dark clouds roll away from the sun and slowly dissipate. The sun shines down on a calm sea, your ship continuing to move away from the island, a small tricorn hat bobbing up and down in the water in its wake.
In the aftermath, I'm going to kind of solemnly, without much in the way of joy, go around from crewman to crewman with maybe a large jug of rum and a shot glass, giving them each a shot, and going to the next room and giving them a shot of rum, so on and so forth.
Okay, not a problem. You walk around doling out these shots of rum to the crew. Most of them are looking quite solemn as well, after all Greywater had served with him for quite some time, and he was very respected as a veteran of many wars, including the Armada War. And they unlike their normal sort of rousing sort of buccaneer demeanour, they solemnly take these tots of rum off you. One of them lifts it up and says, "To Greywater, he was the best damn sales master I ever sailed with." And I'll
nod. Take a drink with him.
They'll smile at you. They're obviously quite sort of upset by this, but they're grateful for the comfort and the rum that you're providing to them. They nod solemnly at you. A couple of them sort of like pat you on the back.
Good. I'm going to be avoiding Nathaniel for a little while.
I'll be in my quarters, just avoiding everyone and feeling super guilty.
Since I don't think anyone's explained to me what's really going on, so I'll try to comfort my father-in-law by going down there and saying, "There's nothing you could have done to save Grizzlewater."
Cabissa?
Yes?
If it's all the same to you, I'd like to not see you for a little bit, if that's alright.
I understand.
Thank you.
Okay, and you leave your father-in-law alone in his sombre reflection in his quarters. Okay, does anyone else have anything they wish to do in this scene before we continue with, presumably you guys continuing towards your destination to find Daedalus?
Roland will probably work with Pierre to see if any of the crew, we lost any of the crew, what kind of damage we took, if anything, in that dramatic escape.
Oddly enough, it appears that the only casualty was Greywater. There's some minor damage to the caulking between the planks on your ship, but it's all stuff that's easily repaired.
A mixed blessing. That was a fierce storm, but not the worst I've been in.
It was not a natural one. Once again, the gods are interfering.
As they tend to do. But we've got to earn our keep.
Nathaniel is a good man, but I cannot understand why he worships such beings.
He's a good priest, but an average seaman.
Wow. He makes some choices that are... c'est la vie.
Okay, so you continue on towards your destination. The destination given to you by Carlotta.
Mm-hmm.
So you were saying something to Chief?
I just want if during this time I could speak with the captain in private, just ask him, Captain, so about what just happened? What just happened?
I'll offer you some of my private rum if you're in my cabin. I don't know if that's be a drinks, but I won't tell Nathaniel if you won't.
He does drink when the captain offers him a drink,
Okay.
because it's offensive otherwise.
The short version, or the long version, let's start with the short. The short version, you got sick. Against my better judgment, I agreed to take you to this island hellhole, where we discovered that the lady on that island is some kind of prisoner of the Storm Lord, a man I've never met, but I'm sure you've heard. Everyone knows the Storm Lords. Through Pierre's persuasion, say with a wry smile, we negotiated some aid to you, but at a cost. We were heading back to the ship to eventually start going after Daedalus, and then you just reappeared. So we had not been there long.
So you got this woman to lift the curse?
More, I suppose,
Well,
temporarily prevent it from taking effect. Curses aren't really my forte. I thought that was your area. That's big.
yes,
Taking a sip from it.
when I got out of there, I immediately removed the curse from myself. It's just that easy for someone of my level.
I didn't realize your talents were that incredible.
Well, they are.
Perhaps you are a welcome addition to the crew after all. Appreciate it.
What's that supposed to mean? No, I don't want to know.
You do notice, Fazbear, as you've been saying this, that the captain's previously sort of like decisive demeanour appears to have diminished somewhat in the intervening time. It seems a lot more like his old self.
He's got the shakes a little bit.
I need that kick again. I need it.
I should apologize to your uncle, really. I shouldn't have struck him. It was taken personally.
It was the heat of the moment. I don't know. I don't know what came over you, but yeah. Okay, so
It must have been the storm that brought that on. I mean, storms have a history. He puts the glass down. I'm glad you're back with us, Thasbia. I'm glad you look well. Although, don't take this personally. I'm probably going to have to put a guard by your door. Or at least have someone follow you around. Well, Rotter Jack managed to infiltrate this boat before, and we can't guarantee that how long this temporary healing is going to last.
I removed my curse. I can.
Truly?
Yes.
Forever?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
The curse that's afflicting Rotter Jack and his crew is different to the one that that he is capable of putting on others.
Are you
better
capable
sword
of
is
lifting Rotter Jack's curse?
no.
That is a shame. Since your uncle did kind of agree to hand over the man we need to Rotter Jack, and I'm hard pressed to give him what he wants.
Use this Daedalus.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm still. So I think I may have acted hastily when I shot that woman on the island. Maybe, but what is that place? Is it like a... Is that place religiously significant to the Stormlord?
From what I could tell, it was a bride of his, a consort. But she fell in love with a mortal man, I believe. Am I right in that, John? I realized story right. And
one of those stories.
Yeah, and he took her eyes in punishment and silenced her to an island until his return, which I don't think is anytime soon.
Okay, so before my father... Sorry, I'm jumping around a bit. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. Before my father-in-law tried to sacrifice himself, he said that in 4 days we're going to meet Daedalus, and over a week I had to fight Rod-Eye Jack.
Did he say that? That's interesting. He hasn't mentioned that to me.
Okay, when he's feeling better, because he doesn't want to see anyone right now, we'll have to have a talk with him. Find out what's going on. Right. In the meantime,
Do you have some kind of plan to fight Rod-Eye Jack, if that's the case?
No. I don't even... No. I didn't even know I had to. Are you saying I should?
Well, if you seem such... Well, I didn't quite believe when you said you had talents in the subtle art. I mean, that's a rare gift. But if you have cured yourself, perhaps you are the best person to fight someone like that, man.
I suppose. Anyway, I'll figure something out in my quarters.
How did you get back on the ship?
And with that, I disappear into the shadows.
Yep, and that's pretty much what happens. You're sort of stood there in the shadows of your quarters, Captain Howe. You turn round to where sort of Thasby's been stood in a patch of shadow and say, "How did you get back on the ship?" And you realise that Thasby is no longer there.
That'll make him trust you.
Thasby?
Okay, so continuing your voyage, a couple of days pass fairly uneventfully. There is a little bit of a somber mood on board, as you might expect, but the crew, sort of seemingly sort of fortified against this sort of thing, know they've got a job to do, and they crack on with their various assigned tasks. However, can I ask you, please, Pierre, to make me an officer roll?
Yes, I can. I am a great officer.
Okay. Sorry, have you made your roll? I can't see it on mine.
Great.
Okay, cool. No problems. Okay, as you're in the couple of days, as you're sort of wandering the ship and you're doing your job, giving out orders, etc., you notice there's a little bit of an undercurrent of tension on board the ship. You hear a couple of the crew muttering to each other about the unnaturalness of the way Greywater died. A couple of them seem sort of quite unhappy about what happened to him. They feel almost like you pretty much sort of left him to die, really. Not you personally, obviously, but...
All right. I'm going to nip this morale a bit in the bud. So I'm going to... I want to sit and talk with them, like have a quiet chat. Maybe I even I'll get a few bits of food from stores. This is sort of like getting an extra half ration of food today, kind of thing. Like I'm giving them a snack they wouldn't normally be entitled to with normal rationing.
Okay, no problem. You hand out some rations to one of the sailors, and he leans in close and he says, "I probably shouldn't mention this quartermaster, but there's a few of the seamen having a bit of a chat below decks amidship about this. You might want to go and have a speak to them, sir. Things looking like they might get a bit ugly, if you know what I mean."
Merci, mon ami. I will see to this immediately. Thank you. Enjoy the cheese.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm going to head downstairs with like a half wheel of cheese, and I'm going to look for this, maybe a small paring knife, and look for this little gathering.
Okay, you find sort of in the crew quarters below deck, where there's like a few provision barrels, etc. There's about half a dozen of the crew gathered around it. They go a bit quiet when you approach, but one of them says, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's the quartermaster. He's always been straight with us," and they sort of gesture for you to come over.
Hello, mes amis. Vous êtes femme? And I offer them the half wheel of cheese, and I stick the paring knife in it, and I sort of lay it down in maybe a box or something.
They all happily tuck into that, and one of them says, "Well, Franklin here was just saying we don't think it's right, sir. We just let we just left Greywater there for the seas to take him. It's not right. A man who survived wars and all manner of things that could be thrown at him, just to let him die like that in the waters. And that storm, sir, it weren't natural. I've never seen the like.
You're right, mon ami. It was not a natural storm, nor was Greywater's death a natural one, and nor was it right. I cannot argue with any of those things. You must understand this Rockhead Jack, this villain. He is magic. He has crossed paths with the magic world, the magic realm, Sirens, Stormlords. It is an ugly business. They're trying to survive.
One of the crew seems like a bit more worse aware, like he's had a bit more to drink than the others. Slaps his hand down on this box, causing the cheese knife to jump up and then settle back down. And he said, well, it weren't no rot-eyed Jack who left old Greywater to drown in the briny deep, were it? It was the captain's choice.
No.
He could have rescued him.
So I want to try to use my officer skill to calm him down, and as I give him my explanation.
Okay, not problem. Make an opposed roll against myself.
Sure. Take that. Can you see that?
I can't, but you need to beat a mediocre roll.
I got a fantastic.
Okay, no problem. So you are successful in calming them down. What do you say to them?
Monsieur, the captain, he could do nothing. I was there. I saw Greywater's eyes as he sank below the waves. I and everyone else on this ship was helpless to prevent it. The Storm Lord, he demanded revenge, you see. He went to the island to save a crewman. And in anger for successfully rescuing him from his clutches, the Stormlord claims this one. So Greywater, he died not for no purpose. No, he sacrificed himself that the other one may live.
One of the crewmen.
Salute Greywater in this choice. I put my hand on my hat on my chest again to sort of make it seem more solemn.
The crew members wearing hats mimic your gesture, and one of them says, "The quartermaster was right. I saw it. After all, what chance does do mere men have against the anger of the gods? We all know it. We all know it to be true." And a couple of them are like, "Oh, yeah, well, that's true." Yeah.
Remembers this Greywater. Remembers the sacrifice he has made. You are alive today. Perhaps we are all here today because of this sacrifice. It is good that you remember. Do not forget.
One of the crew lifts a glass up and he says, "To Greywater, saving us one last time, old soak. God's rest him." And he knocks back his tot.
Enjoys the rest of the food, and do not forget there is work to be done. I must be to it myself. And I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna be making sure I smile.
You seem to have calmed their feelings down, and gradually they all start dispersing and going about their business.
So I'm going to, not directly, but in a roundabout way, seek out the captain.
Okay, yeah, that's not a problem. Where would you be, Captain Howe, when you're located by Pierre? Obviously, you don't spend all of your time at the wheel.
What time of day is it?
It's about midday.
Midday. Okay, I'll probably be at the front of the ship with a looking glass, checking our course the old-fashioned way, checking for any reefs, stuff like that.
So when I find him, I'll come up and I'll just kind of lean my arms on the railing, and I'm going to speak in a voice that's only loud enough for him to hear. I don't really want anyone else hearing. The crew, they are a little bit unhappy. I cannot blame them after the recent events. Perhaps spending an extra day at the next port might help to boost the spirits.
Assuming we live that long, Pierre, that is a grand idea. I can't blame them either. The crew are expecting a payday soon. but we've got a hell of a task ahead of us. Why, Jack? What-eyed Jack.
But before that, we have to find this Isle of the Winds, eh? This promise of Della Fortuna.
Well, assuming the lady's information was good, we should be there fairly soon. Let's see. I have a mind to take Nathaniel with us when we go abroad. We might need a man of faith, convincing this guy for help.
When he is focused on the good ideas, he is helpful, but he makes some choices sometimes, I think, guided by the emotions instead of the head.
But that's beautiful.
Love, d'amour, we do the crazy things for it.
It was a brave thing you did, Pierre, convincing that woman to help us. Dishonestly, but it was brave.
If lying to a woman is brave, I am the bravest man you know.
Perhaps you are. You're good with the men. I'm glad you're aboard. What should I do this without you?
Captain Howe, I presume you're still sort of looking through the spyglass while you're having this conversation. Let's say you're a couple of days into this voyage towards the island of the winds where Daedalus is supposed to reside, assuming that Carlotta's information was correct. As you're looking through the spyglass, in the distance you can just make out what appeared to be two sailing vessels. Looking through your spyglass, you can see that both of them appear to be alongside each other. They're both flying the colours of High Fair, the light blue flag with the stylised ship emblem of High Fair. But as you watch, you can see the flash and smoke of cannon fire being exchanged between the two ships.
Okay. I hand the spyglass to Pierre. Looks like we're heading for trouble. Is Pierre from the same place?
I am from Lorefort.
Lorefort, okay. Okay.
Why are they fighting?
Each other.
Perhaps, Captain, in this case, we want to avoid this trouble, eh? This seems to be a matter with them. They can settle. We can't go around. The sea is plenty big.
We have no reason to get involved, you're right.
As you're looking through the spyglass, Pierre, you see that one of these ships, which is obviously taking a severe amount of damage, begins to list to one side and slowly to sink. The other one immediately begins to pull away from it and turns and begins sailing away.
On the other hand, Pierre, we could use the salvage, right? The crew.
It looks as if the matter has been settled for us. Yes, the salvage would be fine, but perhaps we should wait until his enemy is long gone, eh? Wood floats.
True. I don't want any more trouble before we reach Daedalus, that's for sure.
Okay, I will tell you that both of you will know that it's going to take you about sort of half a day before you reach the sinking vessel, which will give you give the other ship ample time to sort of be out of sight because it seems to be like sailing away at full sail.
Okay. We'll approach cautiously though. We won't come at full speed.
Yeah. As best speed as we can without, tipping off the other ship.
Okay, not a problem. The other ship is long out of sort of range. You can sort of see it on the horizon as you approach this sunken vessel. There's bits of debris, wood. You can see the odd person floating face down in the water. There's a few barrels. The tattered and scorched remnants of a High Fair flag float atop the water.
What kind of salvaging rights is there in this universe, John? There's certain things to see. It's ours if we just find it.
Yeah, but basically, if you find him, it's unattended. It's yours.
Get in.
Still true today, really.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to order some of the men, down to a longboat to retrieve it all and bring it back on board.
Okay, the men head down in a longboat, pull out.
I'm gonna send a message down to Nathaniel's cabin. We have found some dead. I'm guessing there's some dead sailors across there as well. If he wishes to come perform last rites, he's welcome to do so.
Okay, so
Bon ID.
Nathaniel, there is a knock at the door of your quarters. You're on mute,
I
Nathaniel.
answer it.
Okay. You open the door and you see one of the cabin boys standing there, and he says, "Oh, I don't mean to disturb you, sir, but the captain sent me down with a message. Says we've come across a wreck and there's some dead seamen aboard it. Said you might want to do last rites on them or something."
I'll be right out. Thank you.
He nods and scampers back up on deck.
Right, so I've been in there for a few days. I'm a bit haggard looking. I've been barely eating. I've been slightly fasting and praying and do all that, trying to like realign my religion and all that, like realign my beliefs and stuff like that. So I finish up. I wash up my face, get as clean as I can, put on some fresh robes that aren't sea soaked, and I head upstairs.
Okay, not a problem. Just as you're getting on deck, a shout from the longboat that's poling through the wreckage goes, "Captain, looks like we've got a survivor!"
Bring them aboard if they are well to do so. Let's have a look at them.
Sir. You can see the longboat sort of being like winched back up. They've salvaged a fair amount of supplies from this vessel. Some of it was unfortunately waterlogged, like gunpowder, etc. But there's some dried rations, some other bits of loot that they've managed to salvage. And as they sort of winched on board and they disgorge all of this cargo, you can see that there's a very pale-looking man, his face slightly wrinkled by the salt water. There's the salt crusted in his beard and moustache. You can see that he appears to be wearing a high-fare naval uniform. He's sort of spluttering slightly as he's helped on board.
Oh my God, are you alright? I say, getting close to him, try and like sort him out, see if we can help him like sit up and like not choke on water.
You help him sort of cough up the last of the water that he's swallowed. He looks at you, his eyes seeming a little bit unfocused, and as he sees you, he's like, "Bishop?"
Yes, I get it a lot. Come, you must rest.
Oh, the elemental gods be praised.
You can praise him another time when you're not coughing. You need to sit down. Just take your time, catch your breath. What happened here? I look at the captain. What happened here? Also, Captain Pierre.
For what we could
I'm
tell,
going to let the captain explain. I'm just going to take stock of the goods we recovered.
From what we can tell, some hours ago, two high-fare ships approached each other and engaged in battle for reasons we're not entirely sure of. It was quite a distance from us when we saw it, but it looked like they had a distinct disliking to each other. They were shooting to kill, not to disable.
You, officer, what's your name?
He says, "Luigi, your eminence."
It's fine. At the moment, I'm not exactly. I look around. I'm not exactly in my high robes at the moment. You may call me Nathaniel for now. Call me your eminence makes the crew funny.
Thank you, Nathaniel. He sort of looks at you for a minute, curiously, and then he says, "Then you don't know? You haven't heard?"
Heard what? What's going on?
The Pope! He's dead!
What?
It's true. I heard it myself from a very reliable source.
I say a short prayer to the four gods. And I'm like, but then why are you fighting? Is the next pope not already in line?
Yes, but there were rumors, sir, that his death wasn't entirely natural.
Oh no. How bad is it? How bad is the church split?
You see him sort of like glance around like fearfully as though he's expecting to be set upon by wild beasts any moment, and then he sort of clutches your robes and pulls you close to him, Nathaniel, and he says, the Grand High Inquisitor has assumed the position.
Oh, wonderful. That is neither here nor there. Why were you being attacked by the other high fare boat?
They're seeking to stamp out anyone who's still loyal to the old Pope and might spread the word that. And he looks around again. He says, "We had word the old Pope was poisoned."
Oh, great. I can't deal with this right now. This is not my problem. Not my problem. Why is this happening? Nathaniel takes a deep breath and he goes, "Look, whether poison or death, or by the gods or by man, let us worry about this another time. Come." I look at the captain. Captain, can we please put this man in a room? He's choking. He's quite hurt. Maybe get the surgeon to look at him over.
Roland takes a moment and then acquiesces. I want your nephew to take a look at him, though.
Why on earth am I letting you take a look at him? He's just a boy. How about a real doctor take a look at him?
And a real doctor, but first I want to make sure he's not one of our Ajax puppets. And your nephew apparently is adept at curses. I'm not bringing another cursed person aboard this ship.
I snort when he mentions curses, because as always, I never see Titus actually do these things. And I'm fine, if you want him to look at him, he's welcome to, but afterwards can we have someone who actually knows medicine to help
We've all got to earn our keep.
Yes, aye, Captain. Roll my eyes.
Again, you take the man below deck, Luigi below deck, to make him as comfortable as you can, and John Locko, the carpenter surgeon, will have a look at him. Locko reports to you that the man appears to be suffering from a little bit of sunstroke, and he'd swallowed some seawater, but he should be otherwise fine.
I'll come up to the captain.
Yes, Nathaniel, can I help you?
This,
As I'm sort of looking as PS, I'm sort of helping Pierre with the getting stuff on board and keeping an eye out for any high fare ships approaching.
I figured go on. Captain, I figured I might as well speak to you, considering what happened last time we had to deal with my people. With the Inquisition taking over the Pope, I do not know what will happen the next time we run into an Inquisitor.
I think we both know what's going to happen.
I think it's best if we avoid them completely until this is resolved back at home. I'm sure someone will take
absolute agreement. I would not have even met your friend before had you not insisted upon it.
Yes, but I was mostly concerned that running from a ship in the state that we were in was not going to help.
Perhaps.
And I'll nod at Pierre again and be like, if you need me, I'll be in my quarters again.
I just nod and I go back to my work.
And then I'll walk off.
If I can, I want to get hold of if there's a captain's diary or whatever, like in
captain's log, you mean?
Yeah, I didn't want to say the captain's log because it sounded too Star Trek-y, but
Where do you think they got it?
That's it, exactly.
I know. To
Yeah,
see
not
if
a
there's any
problem.
reports of pirates and things in the area, if they've spotted anything, we can help us on that way.
The captain's log would be written by the captain, so whatever's in it would be what you've written in it.
Mm-hmm.
So you say it's almost like a diary, so it wouldn't contain general knowledge about the area unless you've written it in there.
Right.
Dear diary.
So the other day, I totally met this sweet ship. Oh my god, it was piloted by Roger the Big. She's so dreamy.
Okay. So do you guys continue
While
on with
he's
your
writing in the
voyage?
diary, can you give me the stock of what we took on board?
Yes,
Kind of
you have half a dozen barrels of spirits. You also have 4 days worth of dried rations, effectively ship's biscuit. You are able to also salvage a single keg of gunpowder that appears to have survived being immersed without the seals being broken.
I'm going to make sure it gets dispersed to ship stores where it should be, and loud enough so all the crew on deck can hear, and I'm sure it'll spread to the rest. Extra rum rations tonight for when we reach port for all the extra work. Now that we can spare it. So.
Okay. As you're doing that, Pierre, can you please make me a navigator roll?
Me.
And then what you get.
I believe in you, Pierre. You can do it. Just roll a plus.
Fair.
Okay. As you're obviously scanning the wreckage, make sure you've not missed anything, etc., totting up what you actually got. You see what appears to be a barrel floating in the water, and there is a man dressed all in black clinging to it.
How did this get missed? Men overboard! Get him aboard!
The crew are like, oh, yes, sir, of course, sir, and they immediately lower ropes in and sort of haul this man aboard. You see he appears to be alive, but he's unconscious. Effectively, he'd like hooked his arms under the ropes around the edge of the barrels to like keep himself holding on to it. He is still breathing, but he's unconscious. He's wearing entirely black clothing, which you'll be familiar with from your previous encounter, is the sort of standard garb of the Orthodox Inquisition.
So I have them put him in I know space limited on the ship, but in a room by himself. And then I'm going to instruct some of the crew that there's a guard outside this guy's door at all times until I tell them otherwise.
Not a problem.
And then I'm going to reluctantly speak out Nathaniel.
Okay, not a problem. Nathaniel was in his quarters, sort of secluded in his quarters.
I'm sorry to disturb you, mon ami, but...
Sorry, no, it's fine. I wasn't... What can I help you with?
I think you should see this for yourself.
I scroll a little bit, and I follow him.
So I lead him to the room, and I have the guard standing in the way, and I open the door, and I just point at the unconscious guy. Maybe he's lying on, I don't know, a couple of crates we got stretched out in a makeshift bed or cot or something.
As you open the door, you see that with the time that's passed, the figure is now actually conscious. He's sat up on the cot where he's laid. He has a very blank expression on his face, and he's just looking at the door. He regards you as you walk in.
Oh.
All right, so I'm gonna close the door, and you can take point here in a moment. I'm gonna close the door behind us. I'm going to lean against the walls with my arms crossed and thinking about my sword just in case it's necessary, and I'm gonna let Nathaniel do his thing with this guy. I'm just gonna back him up.
I turned back towards Pierre, like, did we find him as well?
He had lashed himself to a barrel.
He's alive. Thank the gods.
Yes,
Are you all right, sir? Do you need
I
water?
hope so.
Anything else?
Yes, I'm fine.
Well, may I ask your name?
Yes, you may.
What is your name, my son?
My name is Roberto.
And what church? What is your designation?
I'm a member of the Inquisition.
What do you serve the Inquisition for?
You know, so as he's talking, his face doesn't really have any expression on it. His voice is very level and even and unemotional. I serve the Inquisition because they rescued me.
All right, if you wish to be this formal, I am Father Nathaniel. You have come upon the high wind. Sorry, yes.
I'm aware of who you are, Bishop.
Well, then you're aware that you are well and truly quite far away from Inquisition territory at the moment. You're on our ship.
Indeed, I had the misfortune to be swept overboard whilst we were attacking the insurgent vessel.
Well, what are your plans now?
You're amongst the attackers. Hmm. I'm
Yes.
going to make sure. I'm just going to fill in Nathaniel that about the two high fare ships we saw fighting, and that one sank the other and then sailed off, and he was on the attacking ship.
So I fold my hands and go, tell me what's happened back at home, back in Haifa.
The Elemental Pope is dead. The Grand Inquisitor has assumed the position.
Then why are you fighting with other Haifa ships?
There are some rebel factions at home who seek to depose the new Pope and who are spreading ugly rumours about him.
All the way down here, in the New World?
The insurgents realised that they could not oppose us directly, and they fled. We were sent in pursuit.
But why that ship specifically? Who was on that ship that you were pursuing?
Rebels, insurgents, their identity does not matter specifically to me.
In which case, where do I rank amongst the Inquisition?
Do you swear fealty to the new Pope?
I swear fealty when I get home. I'm on a sabbatical.
Then you are not a cause for concern.
I am not saying it, but there are some that might call this man or his crew murderers or seeking out and attacking sinkings of the vessel.
I know that, Pierre, but it's not our place to interfere in matters of High Court.
What we do is justified and is authorised by the new Pope of the Orthodoxy.
He's authorizing you to go around destroying ships this far away from... What is happening to my people?
I agree that the country is free to rule itself as it sees fit. However, if they are having a civil war, which, well, violence can spill over onto us, huh?
Yes, thank you, Pierre, for that wonderful point of insight. I appreciate that. However, there's not much I can do about it. I'm not about to put this man back to sea again. I can't really leave him to die.
Oh, no,
Best we can do
I
is
suggest
simply...
no such thing. I merely suggest that he is from a ship of murderers and perhaps should be guarded accordingly.
If we ask the captain put 2 guards on his table, on his board, and then when we get to land, we let him go, would that be sufficient?
Oui. As long as the crew and the ship are safe. I would hate to think what might happen if he were to deem us traitors to this new pope.
Well, that won't be a problem, as he said. I look straight back at him again. As he said, Mr. Robert of the Inquisition, we don't pose a threat, so we should stay as such. And I don't know much about the Inquisition, but I know there's certainly no liars.
I should warn you, Bishop, that there are deviants aboard your ship.
What do you mean?
You see, he is already considered part of our crew. Yes, there is a threat aboard the ship. Perhaps it is him.
Those who, when I say deviants, Bishop, I mean those who steal power from the elemental lords without swearing fealty to them or being authorized by the church.
We save his life and he comes and passes judgment on us. He would condemn us.
It's how the Inquisition work. That's why no one expects them.
As you say that, Pierre, Roberto turns and looks at you, and then he says, "You do not steal power from the elemental lords. You are not my concern."
I ignore Roberto when I say to Nathaniel, "Oh, I understand all too well, monsieur. That is why I am concerned."
We'll just let him go and get to the other part of the ship. For now, Roberto, you are not to leave these quarters under any circumstances. I cannot guarantee your safety if you do.
I would not expect you to guarantee my safety, Bishop.
Excellent. I'm glad we've come to an agreement. Please stay here, shall we?
I'm afraid I can't promise to do that, Bishop. If I were to promise you that, I would be lying.
That is fair. You do what you have to do, Roberto, and we'll do what we have to do.
I understand. Well, if you'll please allow me to bring a reckoning to any deviants aboard your ship, then the matter will be settled.
You are not to attack anyone on this ship.
I have no interest in attacking anyone on board your ship, Bishop. I'm merely seeking to bring a deviant to the Elemental Lord's justice.
Oh my god. All right. Compromise. If you were to attempt to bring a deviant upon it, bring a deviant to what's called the Lord's mercy, you could attempt to try that, but you're most likely going to fail. The amount of people on board who would do stop at nothing to stop you. Would it not be better to simply wait, get some resources, and then do so?
If it is necessary that my life be sacrificed doing the Elemental Lord's work, then that is their will, Bishop. Surely you know this. The Inquisition does not compromise, Bishop.
Yes, you see, he is to be unrelenting in his pursuit of those he feels are against this Pope, even though it is only because of us he is even alive.
And I am grateful.
I am not suggesting killing him, Nathaniel, nor even doing him harm, but just making sure he cannot do harm to us, huh? While he is our guest.
Okay, at this point, I'm going to jump over to Thaziba, if I can. Thaziba, where are you located at this present point in time?
In my quarters.
Okay, so both Captain Roland and Thaziba, as you're sort of doing your normal business, you gain a slightly sort of odd sensation, as though you almost feel like a chill run down your spine.
Is it a very familiar kind of chill, by any chance, Joe?
What are you suggesting, Captain?
That this is the sign of the Inquisition is on the move, and I have felt this sensation before.
It does feel very familiar, yes.
I'm going to make sure my guns are loaded and ready, and I'm going to go up on deck.
Okay, as you go up on deck, Roland, there's quite a lot of talk amongst the crew that another survivor's been brought aboard, obviously. Quite a lot of chatter, because people are saying, oh, he was wearing like the black of the Inquisition.
I'm going to grab one of the men. Why wasn't I informed if someone was found?
Oh, begging your pardon, sir. I've just been organising a watch on his quarters. I would have come and found you straight afterwards, sir.
Where is this person? Who's with them?
He's below deck with the quartermaster and the preacher.
Very well. I shall start making my way down.
Okay, Thaziba, what are you doing at the moment?
So this is just a random chill down my spine?
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, I'm just gonna head out, go up to the deck and see if there's anything
Okay,
that continues to chill my spine.
As you're heading up to the deck, you meet the captain sort of coming in the opposite direction, heading below deck.
Yeah, Captain, what's going on?
It would seem, young Thasbert, that we have another uninvited guest aboard this ship. I don't know exactly who it is, but apparently they're wearing the garb of the Inquisition, which hopefully you're aware of.
Yes.
I'm going to find out myself what's going on. It would seem that
I'll follow
Pierre
you.
and Nathaniel is taking care of it.
Okay, so I follow you.
Okay, so you two head down to these quarters where Nathaniel and Pierre are questioning Roberto. He's still sat there as you walk up. You see there's a couple of like crew on guard outside. They obviously nod at you and let you go past Captain and Thasbir.
Now, John, can I ask a question about these Inquisitors?
Of course.
Would I mean, I've had past dealings, but am I aware if they have any way of calling other Inquisitors to them? Like some goddamn storm calling beacon?
Make me a scribe roll.
Scribe. Do I even have scribe? Let's have a look. Right. No, it's not going to be good for me. Okay. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, you know it's rumoured that the Inquisition have agents who can somehow sense stormcallers. You don't know any details though.
Right.
You two walk into the quarters. You can see this fellow Roberto sat there wearing his black garb. He's sat up quite calmly. His face is expressionless. Nathaniel and Pierre are talking to him. However, as the captain comes in, you notice that the Roberto's head sort of like snaps around, almost as though he's been like slapped, and looks directly at Roland.
As soon as they come in, I'm gonna like put my finger to my lips like a thing, and I'm gonna sort of nod, tilt my head such to indicate they should step outside, and I'll go with them.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're outside in the hallway, I close the door, and then I explain to them. I bring them up to speed on what's been going on, what this guy said about some people on this ship, you know, being in a position, about how it was his crew that sank the other high-fare ship, and so on and so forth. So they go in fully armed, fully aware.
Oh, doing God's work, no doubt. The
Okay.
Lord's.
Pierre brings you up to speed.
He is a danger to the crew, Captain. This I have no doubt, at least some of us. He may consider you someone who should be... I let it trail off.
Oh, I am sure. But this is my ship, and he is at my mercy at the moment.
Yes, let us keep it that way.
He may need to be reminded of that fact. So what Roland's going to do is he's going to walk into the room. He is going to look the guy straight in the eye. I don't know if he's given his name. I don't know if someone's told me
His name was Roberto.
Roberto,
I'll
yes.
assume that Pierre told you because he's bringing you up to speed.
I'm going to draw one of my pistols and point it directly at him.
Okay, you point the pistol at him, like he shows no sign of surprise or shock on his face, no emotion at all.
You are currently under my sanctuary and my protection, Roberto. This is my ship and this is my crew. You may consider yourself a sanctioned member of the Inquisition, but you will cease your storm calling forthwith, or I will send you to meet your Storm Lord.
I do not consider myself to be a sanctioned member of the Inquisition. I am a sanctioned member of the Inquisition. Duly appointed by the Orthodoxy to carry out the will of the Stormlords.
And I am on a mission by one of your bishops, so you will cease your storm calling right this moment.
You, Captain, are an apostate, a deviant. You are not fit to carry out the will of the Orthodoxy.
I am the only thing keeping you alive right now.
I'm going to kind of walk up sort of behind the captain's shoulder to back up that threat, and very obviously put my hand on my sword hilt to back up his words.
I'm looking between both of them. I'm like, gentlemen, please. I'm sure we can come up with a more civilized and less threatening way of solving this.
Yeah, I agree. No one's done anything untoward yet.
Mature. So long as he makes no attempt to arm the captain or anyone else on this vessel, we will put him to port when we land.
Thasbia, as someone who's accustomed to looking at these shadows in a room for obvious reasons, as you're sort of regarding this scene in front of you, you become aware that the person sat on the bunk isn't actually casting a shadow of any sort, unlike everyone else in the room.
I sit closer to my father-in-law, and I just... Do Inquisitors have abilities?
I'm like, yes, but I don't know much about... Actually, do I know if the Inquisitors have any abilities?
Make me a scribe roll.
Yeah.
His fate is in his own hands. If he
7.
makes no attempt to arm us...
Okay, Nathaniel, the Inquisition is very close-knit and a very sort of secretive branch of the Orthodox Church. However, you have heard rumours that there are people in their employ who make some sort of great sacrifice in order to become more effective at dealing with what they call deviants or apostates, basically stormcallers who've not accepted the word of the elemental lords, who they see as people who steal power from the elemental lords without paying them due.
Do they have to willingly do this, or can it just be taken from them?
You know that they have to willingly do it, as far as you're aware.
So when he leans in, I'm like, he's one of the willing. Yes, he has some strange things, but I don't know how far the powers extend, or what he can possibly do with it. Also, be quiet.
He doesn't have a shadow.
What?
Now that's been pointed out to you, as you look, you've not noticed it previously because plenty of shadows cast by everything else. You can see that your son-in-law, Taziba, is right, that this Roberto is not casting any shadow.
I'm going to jump in and say, gentlemen, I know we're all a little bit stressed out, and it's been a few hard days, and we're all trying our best to survive. So how about we discuss this over a nice cup of tea quietly in the captain's quarters?
As you say, I know we're all stressed out. Roberto actually says, I assure you I'm perfectly calm.
I would not feel comfortable, monsieur, with him walking about, just being in such close proximity to a captain, a man he has openly stated he thinks is an apostate.
Nathaniel, this man...
He seeks to do the captain harm by his own word.
These
What would you have us do?
creatures, they would kill every single man on this ship, including you, if they thought it would allow them to get to someone who's a... What's the word? Deviant, did you say?
Robert, is this man here, and I point at the captain, if you were given a weapon right now, and you had a chance to strike him, would you?
Yes.
I look at Nathaniel. See?
Well, at least he's honest.
I see no benefit to be gained by attempting to deceive you.
Not even.
I am not
if we
suggesting murdering him or arming him. Just locking him up until we reach port, huh?
I look at the captain and be like, to be honest, it's a much fairer reason than shooting him in the head.
It is up to you, Capitan. How do you treat those who would murder you given the chance?
The captain appears lost in thought.
I was thinking...
Focus.
I thought he was decisive.
You know what? He lost it now.
That was days ago. That ship sailed.
Otherwise, I'd have been like, "Sup, bang," and I carried on.
He looks around the room for a moment, and then he pulls the gun away. I've got bigger problems than you, Roberto.
If you don't mind me asking, says Roberto, addressing all of you, what gives you the impression that I intend to slay your captain?
Because I won't come quietly?
Yeah, he says it in his sort of eerily flat, emotionless voice.
You just said you would.
Give him a weapon.
You asked me if I had a weapon, would I strike him? I said yes, I would.
Oui. Is that the
I look
reason
at
I
him
have
and
to
I
cut
go,
you apart?
No, what they do isn't slaying. They don't kill people. They purify them.
Indeed, I would attempt to return... The bishop is correct. I would attempt to return him to the Inquisition, where he would be purged of his deviancy.
Is Roland aware of exactly what that involves?
No.
It's not pleasant.
Okay.
That's a fairly safe assumption.
Kind of sucks. Don't let it happen.
However he chooses to word it, Captain, he is clearly a threat to you. I say we lock him up. We say half rations. When we get to port, we let him go.
Those who steal power from the elemental lords are a danger to themselves and to others. Their taint must be removed.
I do not see the world the same way you do. Neither do most of us, huh?
Gentlemen, please, let us just settle this amicably. We'll keep him locked up. We'll feed him. Make sure he's on his way. We don't need to argue philosophy between each other. I think I've
May
had
we?
enough for the last of my lifetime.
I just do not wish his tongue poisoning the other crew, huh?
I'm sure if you keep him locked up, Pierre will be fine.
I am surprised at your response, Bishop. I would have expected you to support the Inquisition in this.
I turn towards him and I go, exactly how am I supposed to support the Inquisition when there's one of you, one of me, and an entire ship full of people? I am also here under their protection. I'm not about to bite the hand that feeds me.
I have no disagreement with the vast majority of your crew.
Then let's keep things amicable, shall we? Besides, don't you have a war to go win?
I would not call it a war, Bishop. It is a simple matter of house cleaning.
And then I leave the room.
I suggest we leave him to contemplation, huh? I say to the captain. I'm going to, outside, I'm going to say to the two guards, 2 men here at all times, huh? He is to get normal water and half food rations.
Right,
I poke my head. I poke my head around.
If he
Make it
speaks to
3.
you, if he speaks to you, do not listen. In fact, make him shut up if you have to.
As we're leaving the room, as we're walking through the ship, I will lead the Thasbia. If you can hear me, you can quietly say, if you can find a way to block his ability to use his magics, I would consider it a favor.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll leave and head to my room then.
Mm-hmm.
I will attempt to. Do I know if it's within the realm possibility for me to have the spirits interfere with like another, like a Stormcaller's influence with their god or anything like that? Because if I think that's impossible, then I'm probably not going to think stopping his abilities is possible.
You know it's technically possible, since, as far as you're concerned, the Storm Lords, these deities, are effectively just like massively powerful spirits. However, they are massively powerful spirits.
Okay, I will try.
Okay, make your roll.
I believe in you.
Fate point spend.
Okay, at which point I'd actually like to offer you a fate point, since the spirits often make demands of you. What I'm going to do is offer you a fate point, because it's normally you would have failed to affect him with your abilities. However, I'm going to offer you a fate point to take that, and you may learn something advantageous.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so I'll give you a fate point. As you're doing your ceremony to attempt to lay a curse on this person or interfere with their source of power, you have a strange feeling. Normally when you're doing a ceremony to put a curse or a blessing on someone, you gain a sense of that person's spiritual being. You can sense their spirit as you lay the blessing and the curse on them. However, as you attempt to do this and fail on this person, you don't sense their spirit. It's almost as though there's just like a hole where their spirit should be.
So does that mean I can't target his spirit?
You don't seem to be able to target his spirit now. It's almost as though bizarrely enough, it's as though he doesn't have a spirit. As I say, it's as though there's just a yawning hole or a void where you'd expect his spirit to be.
Huh. Would I be able to tell if this means the spirit's somewhere else? Or that he's like a zombie of some sort?
From what you can tell, given how good your roll was, it's almost as though someone has somehow severed or removed this person's spirit, and what you're actually looking at is like the hole left when it was taken away.
Interesting.
It would make such a person very difficult to affect with any sort of storm calling or the subtle art. However, the effects on a person's psyche, since the spirit is where like the soul, the persona resides, the effect on a person's sort of personality would be severe indeed.
Okay. So that's horrifying. So I'm gonna like try to figure out like what does it mean to have like no spirit? But since he mentioned the captain wanted spiritual protection, and this guy threatened the captain like very tacitly, I will cast another spell on the captain.
Okay, I'm not going to make you make another roll for that. What would you like to call the advantage that you're giving the captain? Or are you renewing his supreme decisiveness?
Oh God, not again!
He walks out of the room, but then he walks back and starts yelling at him.
Walks out, he's like, oh, I'm really not sure what we should do with this guy. A few moments later, bursts open the door with like a pistol, and he's like, I've decided! Let's take him down.
Die, motherfucker!
So
I'm taking the Inquisition down and I'm starting with you, bitch.
Down the door. It's just been revoked.
Some cheesy catchphrase, yeah.
Actually, Captain, he didn't set you up for that line. No, yeah. I'm thinking like supreme, like alertness, initiative.
Okay, we'll go with supreme alertness then.
Yeah. So this guy won't be able to take him by surprise, and if there's something untoward happening on the ship, the captain will notice.
You have the temporary aspect of supreme alertness with a free invoke, Captain Hal.
It's like you just had 3 energy drinks.
That's it, exactly.
What's that?
No, he's alert, not distractible.
However, with your
spider sense
supreme
speed.
alertness, Captain Howe, as you're sort of walking away from where you've left this man, you sort of become aware of a slightly lesser version of what Thazeba is sensing. From the room behind you, you can hear with your supreme alertness the sounds of like Nathaniel, Pierre, etc. You can hear the creak of the ship, the people shouting above, but oddly, there's just like complete silence around where Roberto would be, as though you're not sensing anything from him at all, as though he's just like a blank space.
Yeah, because as a wind caller, Roland can almost always hear like a soft rustling sound when he concentrates, the soft caress of the Tempest Lord. When he looks directly at him, it's almost as if there just a void between that. It's weird. It's disconcerting. I want to get away from him. I'm going to go to the other side of the ship, which might be the kitchens. Coincidence?
I think not.
I think not.
No problem. Is anyone remaining with your captive, or are you all?
I will actually ask to speak with Nathaniel. Actually, if he's willing to do so.
Yes, Captain. I say, me and Quad is where we need to be.
As I go at the kitchens, considering what Pierre has just told me, if you wish, once we get to a port, to head to your, I don't know where bishops are based. Not really my forte. I will understand if you need to take up your position again.
I am at a dilemma at the moment, sir. On one hand, going back to seeing what damage has been done and why the Pope has been dead and why the Inquisition is taken over would be good, but it doesn't get me near my son, who is still missing today.
This is true.
I would say we see if we can find La Fortuna. Find my son if he's there, and then I'll head back.
You're still talking about this fabled city.
I know him. If he was looking for adventure, that would be the first place he'd go. He must have picked up some clue, gone somewhere else, spoken to someone. If we start on the track, we might find him.
It's a legend, man. I
Possibly.
know we've seen some strange things the last few days, but it could just turn out
Captain,
to be a tale.
I have to apologize about something.
Oh. And like Roland's eyebrow shoots up as if he's about to find out he's got another duel in 7 days.
Well,
It's
so
about
you can say
before
that.
in the storm.
Hmm. You mean when you try to selfishly throw yourself away into the storm's fury?
I was doing that one for one, Captain. When you take something from the gods, they demand a life to be taken back for you. It was either I take myself out, or I take Tabitha out, or one of the crew dies. I chose the one that I had the least amount of people to die with. That was important.
I can understand that. But let me tell you something. I know something
You're
of
not
the
gonna hit me
Stormlords
again, are
as
you?
well. No. I know something of the Stormlords as well. They'll take a sacrifice willingly all the time, but they respect strength. They respect the willingness to go against them. They respect the boldness to strike out on your own. If you want to find your son, you may have to make that decision one day yourself.
You're telling me that at some point I'll have to go do things in spite of the lords instead of with them?
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, I'm sorry, Roland, but I'm the bishop here, and I think I know how this theology thing works. You don't go against the gods, you go with. That moment will never come.
I'm the captain, and we made it through the storm, did we not? Through Pierre's magnificent words.
And Greywater and Theon Greywater's sacrifice.
Perhaps.
Either way, I'm sorry one of my people happens to be on board your ship, and I hope things don't go out too bad. Can we make sure we don't tell the other survivor that he's on?
I don't see any reason why we would. But you're forgetting yourself, Nathaniel. You also told, I believe, this the very man who might have taken up this position where we're going to be in 7 days. So if you remain with us, you're going to be walking into another storm with us.
I look at him, I'll smile, I'd be like, cross that bridge when I come to it. And I head off.
You'll hear the sounds of Roland's laughter as you go.
Okay, so what's the plan, guys?
Might make a seaman out of you yet.
Right, onwards to find Daedalus.
Good.
Okay, so I'm grouped out by the soulless person, so I am actually going to cast. How many rituals can I have up? 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got one on the captain right now. I'm gonna cast the remaining 2, one on my gun and one on a bullet.
Okay, yeah. Make your rolls for that, and I'll leave you to come up with the names to your advantages.
Alright. Gun.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll leave you to write those down. I'm quite happy for you to do that.
Alright, cool.
Okay, so is anyone doing anything besides continuing with your journey?
Well, Pierre's feeling a bit. He's kind of unhappy. Like he's not thrilled with all the shit that's gone on today. Dust, Greywater. I mean, we got Tasbia back, and then this guy on board that he would just as soon kill. He's only not killing him for Nathaniel's sake. So in his room, he's maybe sipping at some wine, and he's writing 4 love letters that are almost identical to the 4 women that he had a few nights ago. And basically the letters say, even though I was with all 4 of you at the time, it was with you I felt a connection, and I longed to see you again, that kind of thing.
Nice.
Put a different name on each one. It makes him feel better to do it. So.
Not a problem.
I've got something I want to do.
Okay.
I knock on what's called Pierre's door.
Oui, entrez.
I open a door and I look my hand and go, Pierre, can I speak to you?
Yeah. So I'm kind of lying in bed, but I'm sitting up and I'm writing. Oui, oui, entrez. Oui, oui, come in, mon ami.
Good afternoon. This is gonna sound like a strange request. I know we haven't been exactly eye to eye since the storm,
Oui.
and we have perhaps we have a difference of ideals. So this is gonna sound strange coming from me. Could you teach me how to use a sword?
So I'm taken aback and not expecting that. I put my paper and quill back in the holder. And maybe, yes. Maybe.
Now,
So
just so you know, I'm not going to get involved in a fight. But the last few times I've had to meet people with guns, swords, and magical powers, I would like to be able to defend myself, at least from one of those things. If you could just show me what it is you do with the thing, with sword and the haha and the winning thing, that would be great.
yes. These skills were taught to me from when I was a child. It will not be something quick, but
Oh,
we
come
must
on, I'm a
begin
bishop.
somewhere.
How can it be?
So I'm going to go over to my rapier, which is in a scabbard. I'm going to give him the sword, and I'm going to wield the scabbard. And then
why is it so heavy?
It is a rapier, monsieur. It is the lightest of the... Never mind. So I'm going to do the on guard. This is on. So I show him the on guard position where we kind of... And then I'm going to just smack him in the knuckles to knock the sword over so he drops it.
What was that for?
You're supposed to defend yourself, monsieur. You have the pointy one, I have the dull one. On guard. Smack, I do it again. I just do it again. Whack. Do you like
to see how this is helping.
Or perhaps you should stop me from doing it, huh? You have the pointy one.
Oh, I'm going to stop.
No. Hold it like this.
Like what?
So we can do montage here. And there's a montage of me showing him this and correcting him and him dropping it, and he's getting bruised and sore. And
okay, indeed. And as the camera sort of fades out on that day, we leave with the montage of Nathaniel and Pierre practicing their fencing. We now cut to a point 2 days later when a cry goes up from the crow's nest. Land ho!
At last. I head up on board. It's maybe a spring back in my step. Spirits have cheered up again. I'm glad we're at land, so more women. So I'm going to go up on board and, try to boost the morale of the crew, which is probably a little bit higher than normal. The fact is this a place with a port and stuff, I'm assuming, or is this some just strange hunk of land?
Again, it just seems to be a small island, although you notice that it appears to have a large sort of cliff face, the side that you're approaching.
So we see no docks, no ships, nothing like that?
You don't see any docks that are obvious from your current position as you draw closer to it. However, it does match the location that Carlotta gave to you as the Island of the Winds.
Oh, I thought we were stopping first at a port and then headed there.
I don't think we had time for that.
I thought we had 4 days, and it was 2 days, but fine, that's cool. Okay, so I'll make sure I get the captain on board and let him know. And I'm going to have the crew maybe just come to a halt about 500 yards offshore.
Not a problem. The crew drop anchor.
And I'll look over it with the spyglass and then pass it to the captain so he can have a look.
Okay.
So yeah, it does take Roland a little while to meet them on deck. He's got a kind of a bags around his eyes, and his hair's a bit messed up as he's sort of putting his jacket on as he comes up here. Have we reached land?
The Isle of the Winds, huh?
Let's have a look, see, shall we?
This Daedalus, he is supposedly here.
You look through the spyglass, you can see that there's a large cliff face on the island on the side that you've weighed anchor on. You don't see any obvious signs of habitation, but there is sort of quite thick a tree line on top of these cliffs.
I'm going to maybe take a few steps to my right and discuss back and forth with who's ever behind the wheel at this time, pointing out a couple of possible landing spots where if we had to land.
Is there like a port, like a bay or something we can pull into? Is there like an actual dock, a jetty?
There appears to be a sort of shallow beach on the island leading up to the base of the cliffs. There's no sort of constructed docks or anything along those lines.
Perhaps the longboat would be safer, eh? We do not know the rocks or the bottom around here.
Seems so. Doesn't seem very habited. Let's hope we don't run into any more sirens, eh? We get on there.
We could perhaps circle around it once, get a look at the other side.
If we're going on, well, that's not a bad idea, actually.
Okay.
Thank you. I have the good ones from time to time.
Your ship does a sort of circuit around this island, and sort of looking through the spyglass at regular intervals, you can just about make out what appears to be a large wooden house on top of the cliffs.
Yeah, longboat seems best.
Perhaps this Daedalus lives there, eh?
Hopefully it's not some kind of, I don't know, trap by Rot-Eye Jack. Maybe this could be a setup. But let's go for it. We'll have to forge ahead. Pierre, if you could be so kind,
Well,
when we go, could you make sure whoever's guarding our guest, the uninvited guest, can you make sure they're of, shall we say, less religious?
we have already expressed this feeling to the guards that he assigns the men who will not listen, eh?
They could be quite persuasive. Won't take any risks.
So, John, just to correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not likely that this is some setup from Raleigh Jack, because Raleigh Jack's looking for this guy because this guy supposedly knows where the City of Gold is.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay. So I'm going to go below decks. I'm going to get Nathaniel and Tasbia. He seems to have some unique skills that can be certainly prove useful. And then maybe a couple of other crewmen for the longboat. I'm going to double check on our guest. Make sure he's secure.
The guard,
remind them not to listen to him.
Roberto still seems to be sat in the room. A couple of the guards are like, he's a weird one and no mistake, so he's barely moved an inch since you left him under guard. He's not said a word.
So I'm going to take a water skin off my hip. I'm going to open the door, and assuming I see him, I'm just going to like throw some water on him. I just want to see if he flinches or something.
You throw it to him, it sort of hits his chest. He doesn't like move or flinch at all, or give any sort
of
of
blink,
reaction.
nothing.
In fact, now you can think of it, you're not sure he has blinked since you've seen him. The water skin just hits his chest, falls onto his lap. He picks it up, takes a small sip of it, and says, "Thank you."
All right, it's fine. I close the door, leave him dripping with water. I just want to make sure he's like not in some trance, left his body or some shit like that.
No, he doesn't.
So then I'm going to gather Tasbia and maybe a couple of able-bodied rowers, and make our way over to where the longboats are.
You take me as well, right?
Oh yeah. I already picked you up first before Tasbia.
Cool.
Okay, not a problem. The longboats are prepared, and within a few minutes, you find yourself rowing towards this island. Like I say, it's a shallow, sandy beach heading up to the cliffs. Now you're closer, you can actually see there are like sort of paths up this cliffside. Quite steep, but sort of certainly not impassable. And you moor your longboat on this shallow, sandy beach. There's a
What do we know of this Daedalus?
If one of you wants to make a scribe roll.
I
know nothing.
What on this Daedalus, Nathaniel? Well, let me tell you.
I know that he's supposed to be here, and he's supposed to know where this city is. That's it.
6.
Okay. Both Thasbia and Nathaniel, you know that Daedalus is reputed to be one of the greatest inventors of the age.
Yeah, shame what happened to his son, though.
Oh, indeed. And indeed, you do actually know that he's one of the only people who's reputed to have actually been to Della Fortuna and returned. However, shortly after his return, he sort of dropped off the grid and disappeared.
So I'll apply that to him. But like, also probably one of the very few people who've actually managed to find De La Fortuna and return. But afterwards, he just disappeared off the face of the map.
And
Sailed off to ways unknown.
do you intend to keep your word and turn him over to this wrought-eyed Jack?
I never said I'd turn him over. I said I'd bring him for our duel.
Very well.
So
Which of
you
course we are
serious?
going to win because we have a captain who's incredibly good at his job, right, Captain? Captain?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there we go.
As I'm surveying the island.
This looks like there's going to be a lot of climbing. Maybe I should wait for you guys in the boat.
If you wish, monsieur.
Yes, rest up in the boat.
That seems like a far more sensible idea than all the climbing.
So, I'm going to say to them, as they start making their way up the path, I'm going to say, I will catch up with you in a moment. I wish to say something to Nathaniel. And so, once they're out of earshot, assuming they move out of earshot, it's up to them, I'm going to say to him, remember when you made this sacrifice for your son? You did what you felt you had to save his life.
I don't like where the civilization is going, Pierre.
No, please understand me, monsieur. When the time comes that the captain must face this villain in a duel, I should be the one to do the duel, huh? I pat my rapier.
Well,
I've trained all my life for duels.
I understand. However, I'm hoping we don't ever have to actually meet him. We're going to sink his ship and never make him see the light of day.
Yes, very good. However, if it should come down to a duel, make sure that the captain lets me fight for him, eh? Better me, the ship needs a captain.
I assure you, by the bruised knuckles I have, I will have nothing to do with any dueling with Wrought-eyed Jack. Nothing. I will not be anywhere near there if I can help it. You will have full control over that situation.
No, I am asking for your help, huh?
Wait, you want me to actually get you to fight him?
No. You tried to make the sacrifice for your son. Should the duel come down to be a must, you must convince the captain to let me fight for him.
All right. I'll consider the deal on one condition.
Wait?
Help me up this goddamn path. I'm not going to be stuck here while you all get to speak to Daedalus, the most smartest and most incredible navigator of our time.
Alright, so I'll reach out an arm and like pull him to his feet.
Thank you.
And then kind of hurry him up to the rest of the group.
Slowly, please.
Okay, not a problem. So go ahead, Chief.
As I say, as you catch up, I would have just been finishing the conversation with like the captain, and I'm just gonna say, so whatever we do when we meet him, don't bring up his son.
Your sound's breaking up fairly badly, Chief.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
It's quite sort of broken still.
It kind of sounds like Wrought-eyed Jack. Shoot him!
Shoot him! You're like, blah, blah.
He's possessed again.
I literally can't do anything about it.
Try disconnecting and reconnecting. That might work.
Yeah. Sometimes it just gets out of sync, eh?
That's it, yeah. So we'll give the Chief a few moments.
Maybe describe these paths. Are there multiple paths?
Indeed, there are a number of paths, so now you can see them. They actually look as though they've been carved into the side of the cliff. And although they're fairly steep, you're not actually having to climb. You can walk up these paths that have been carved with what looks like great precision and skill into the side of the cliff.
Is it like skillfully done?
Very skillfully done. Okay, you wanted to have a conversation with the captain, Chief, is that correct?
Yeah, I was just saying that. Wait,
That's
can
way
you hear
better.
me properly
Coming
now?
through loud and clear,
Okay.
mate.
Alright, so as they catch up, I've just been finishing the conversation with saying whatever we do when we meet Daedalus, we don't bring up his son.
I didn't even know he had a son.
It's just
Pourquoi?
don't bring it up. I'm pretty sure he's still sensitive about it.
May we?
Is his son and your son friends? Gesturing at Nathaniel. Who?
Sorry, wait. I thought you were gesturing at Nathaniel.
Yeah, gesturing like I was. We're all together, right?
Well, yes.
Sounds like sort of like.
Okay, as you guys have continued up these carved sort of trails in the side of the cliff, eventually you reach the summit of the cliff and you can see that the trail appears to lead off into this thick sort of forested area atop the cliff. You know from what you've seen earlier that the wooden house you've seen must lie beyond this forest.
I point forward. Well, gentlemen, on your way.
Yep, I'm watching. I'm walking warily.
Okay, you continue to walk through the trees, but it takes about 15 minutes of walking through the trees. When, as you are moving, you suddenly hear this incredibly loud voice booming out of the trees, like incredibly loud, almost like ear-shatteringly loud. And the voice goes, "I am the spirit of this island. Begone lest you face my fury."
Oh my.
No, you're
Fast-
not.
Fazbear, you're up.
Yes, I am.
I turn
Okay,
to.
you're definitely
I'm going to
not
turn to
the spirit.
Thasbia. I think he is trying to pull the trick up on us, huh?
There is no trick. Begone.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
I wanna look
am
around,
the spirit of this island.
Oh, thank you.
Does the sound seem to be coming from one direction or all directions?
It appears to be coming from all around you, but can you actually make me a navigator roll, please, Pierre, since you're looking about?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Does 2 count as making a navigator roll?
Yep, that's fine.
All
Okay,
right.
you sort of search around trying to follow the source of the sound, and you eventually locate what appears to be a strange sort of hollow wooden tube that appears to be running up the side of one of the trees, and the sound seems to be emanating from that.
Yeah, I thought as much. I've seen Wizard of Oz. So I'm going to follow it back.
Okay, you start following this tube, and eventually you see it's joined by other tubes that branch off to other trees, and as you continue following it, it leads out of the trees to this wooden building, and so stood out the front of the building, holding a larger tube that he's shouting into, is what appears to be a slightly bent-back old man with greying hair. He doesn't appear to have spotted you approaching, but as you move up, you can see him still shouting into this thing, going, "I am the spirit of the island, begone from this place."
So I'm going to jump into his view, and as I do, I'm going to have him see me putting my sword back in its sheath,
As
and
you
then
come back, he
smiling,
goes,
smiling at him.
and he
Oui,
almost
oui,
falls over as he
monsieur.
starts and
Très-
jumps back.
Très amusant, but we are not mere children, and we come here with a purpose, huh? Easy. No one is here to do you any harm.
He throws up his hands and he goes, I've got nothing for you. Just leave an old man alone."
Yes, but we have something for you, eh? Food, some fine wine, a little conversation, and we will be on our way.
Oh, fine, if I can't persuade you to leave any other way. Come with me. And he gestures you to follow him, and he sort of huffily stomps towards this wooden house, which is quite a large house, to be honest. Saying it's built with like obviously the wood of the island, it looks like it's been quite skillfully built.
So I'm going to call out. I'm going to actually go over to the tube and call out, "Mes amis, I have come this spirit."
So the rest of you hear this.
You will find the house.
The rest of you hear this booming voice going, "Mes amis, I have come the spirit of this island. Follow this tube and you will find this house."
Okay.
Yeah.
He would have got away with it too. If it wasn't for his meddling kids.
I look for him like, lead the way, gentlemen.
Okay, presuming you guys follow the tubes, you do eventually arrive at the wooden house. By the time there's sort of like an open front, almost like a porch on it. And by the time you arrive there, Daedalus, for it is he, and Pierre are sort of sat on a couple of wicker chairs on this porch outside the building.
So at this point, I've broken out a bottle of wine and I'm sharing it with them, and maybe some meats, dried meats or something like that.
He smiles and
a pipe if he smokes that.
You notice his eyes light up when you offer him the pipe, and he's like, "Oh, thank you. My supply ship is a little bit late. Not a good pipe for months." And he blows some expansive smoke rings. His whole demeanour appears to have generally warmed up to you a little bit as he's puffing away quite happily on this pipe.
Okay, so I want to, in anticipation of the questions we're about to ask him, I want to try and boost this up. I have an aspect that says good looks and charm gets me very far. And so I want to try and create an advantage on him that he thinks I'm a good friend. He's willing to share information with.
Okay, make me an officer roll and let me know what you get.
Yeah. So, okay. I got a 3, and I will spend a fate point if it will help.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. What would you like to call
So I'll make it a 5. I'm his new best friend.
Okay, new best friend, and you have a free invoke of that.
Okay.
Okay, so as you guys walk up, you can see that this old man appears to be chatting quite happily with Pierre as he's like puffing on this pipe. They almost seem like old friends as they're sort of chatting away quite happily. You're astonished to find out that Daedalus actually appears to know your native tongue, Pierre, and he seems very conversant in it, sort of switching freely between that and the common trading tongue.
Yeah, so I'm going to in a very light-hearted manner, welcome. Hey, mes amis, join us. Meet my good friend here, Daedalus.
Okay, Thasbia, can you please make me a navigator roll?
What does this involve?
This involves whether you notice something.
Okay. Sorry, what?
Okay.
I'm not sure if you can see my rolls, but it's...
I can, yeah.
Okay, good. It's not showing me anyone else's, so...
Okay, I presume you're sticking with that roll, Thasbia?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay, not a problem. You guys all head up. You can see this old man chatting quite happily with Pierre. Pierre says, this is my friend, Daedalus.
Greetings.
Oui, oui.
As you approach, he takes this pipe out of his mouth and he says, well, if you don't mind me asking it, what is it that brings you strangers to my home?
I look at the captain, I look at Nathaniel, see who wants to take up the question.
I look at the captain like, do you want to start this?
I suppose.
This wreck, or should I?
I suppose, old man, we're looking for help.
Well, I'm afraid, young fellow, my sailing days are quite behind me. I appreciate the offer, but I'm quite happy in my home here. You'll have to find crew elsewhere, young man, I'm afraid. I'm retired.
Well, I take a deep breath. It's after you, go on.
Well, it's It's more so advice that only you can provide, I'm afraid. Daedalus, is it?
Yes, that's the name I've gone by for some years. Well, come on out with it then.
We have been, the bishop here, myself, the captain of the High Wind, in case I haven't understood, Pierre, my stalwart quartermaster, and Tasbir, man of unknown talents.
Well, come closer, sit down, he says, and he gestures at the a number of these wicker chairs that are sat around, and as he gestures, there's like a slight gust of wind, and these chairs are like pushed towards you.
Ooh. And I jump a bit, but I take the chair because I'm quite tired. It was a long walk, and I'm like.
To help out the captain, I say to him, Captain, he has been explaining to me. I have been explaining to him how we just have a few questions for him, and we will have a grand feast, eh?
Yes, that is right. Just questions. Looking at Nathaniel somewhat at that.
I go, I'm sorry, Daedalus. This is strange. It's an honor to actually finally meet you. I just need to ask, how did you manage to navigate the Marubu Reef so well in like less than half the time it takes for normal ships to do it? I just don't understand how you pulled it off. And then I'm gonna basically I'm gonna start talking to him and chatting him up and create an advantage of like I know his stuff in a kind of way.
Okay, yeah, make an officer roll.
Right.
I'd like to try and boost that by offering to refill his pipe while he's chatting.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
What I'm going to do is
boost. No, go on.
I'll say that's absolutely fine anyway, because of like Pierre's actions, he's already well disposed towards you. Mm-hmm. So what I'll do is I'll add another free invoke of that new best friend. So you've got 2 free invokes of that.
Nice.
Okay, yeah, he's warming up to you, and in fact, he seems to genuinely have sympathy for your plight, being slightly older himself. And he's like, yeah, he says, tell me about it. I carved those cliffside paths when I was a great deal younger. But please sit down, Father. It's been a while since I've had anyone of a religious persuasion on this island.
I'm so glad these young whippersnappers make me walk all the time in my legs.
Oh, tell me about it with their constant fighting and their arguing and their squabbling. It's all so very tiresome. That's part of the reason I came here. You see, I wanted to be away from all of that.
But why could you? How could you leave? You are Daedalus. You are the most well-known navigator in the history of all the seas, so now and forever. Lawford has never seen a better person than you at this.
He gets a slightly sort of sad look on his face, and then he says, "Yeah," and he gestures with his pipe. Yes, and I'm also regarded as one of the greatest inventors of the age. I'm sure you're aware, and that's why I had to leave. You see, during the last years of the Armada War against Highfair, a short time after I'd returned to civilization, I was taken in by the government of my homeland, lawful, and they wanted me to turn my invention. And he gets quite animated at this point. He's sort of like gesturing emphatically. They wanted me to turn my inventions, to help them turn the tide of war against Highfair. Now, I didn't become an inventor to create weapons of destruction and to rain death down on people. I created things to help better mankind's lot. But I knew they'd keep pestering me and keep badgering me, or they'd somehow find a way to force me into doing it. So I left.
I think that's perfectly fair. As a bishop of Highford, I, for one, am grateful that you decided to take the pacifist route than go for that of violence. Far too many kids these days think somehow all their problems can be solved by battle. There's far too many kids, except in cases where there is no choice, where we are driven to such things.
You notice when you say kids, he sort of like gets a bit of a sad, wistful look on his face.
Ooh. Oh, by the way, no, that's not a confession. Yeah, that is a confession. As he just confessed to me that he left Highfall when he went to war, can I get one of his aspects?
You can gain one of his aspects, greatest inventor of the age.
I don't know quite how to fit this into the mechanics of fate, but I think maybe a compel might be in order here for me, because he doesn't think very highly of the Lorefort government,
Mhm.
and neither do I. So, like, I'm immediately sympathetic to this guy. Like, he would almost have a temporary advantage on me, or however that works. Does that make sense?
How are you, as a compel, how are you suggesting that would complicate matters?
Well, I'm going to be more willing to side with whatever he chooses to do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm now sympathetic towards him,
So
right?
technically, that would only be a compel until that happens. When that happens, you know what I mean? Like, if he says like, "No, I'm not going to help you guys," and you side with him against us, that would be a compel.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but certainly
Okay.
if that does happen, that will be a valid compel. So obviously keep that in mind. And
Okay.
if that happens, I'm quite happy to give you a compel for that. We'll give you a fate point
Okay.
for that. Okay, so yeah, Daedalus has this sort of like wistful look on his face as Nathaniel mentions children a couple of times.
Interesting. I say nothing at that point, and I go, there is someone, however, Daedalus. Unfortunately, we cannot be here to simply talk about old times and remember how young we used to be.
Yes. No one comes and seeks me. Well, no one's come and seek me out here for a good long time. But when people try and find me, they generally want something. What is it?
Carlota de Santiago needs your help.
He sort of stops mid-drag of this pipe and he says, "Why? What on earth's happened to her?"
Nothing yet, thanks to us, but it won't be for long, and why soon? Rotai Jack. Sorry.
He says he sort of seems lost her reverence. He goes, yes, Lady Santiago. Why, she's a fine figure of woman. If I was 30 years younger.
I look away, slightly embarrassed, giving a bit too much away of myself as I do, and I go. But anyway, yes, 30 years younger. That would be.
Yeah, she has the greenest eyes I've ever seen. One could almost
really
get
does.
lost in those eyes. And he sort of trails off a bit as he sort of like he seems to have gone to his happy place for a few moments.
I'm there with him, and we're both like.
Yeah, as far as the rest of you guys are concerned, and you're basically looking at two like randy old men going, "Oh, if we were younger, we give her a damn good scene too."
Pierre's just grinning openly.
Disgusted.
He's very amused.
But yes, she needs your help.
And she has the smooth. She needs my help, you say?
Yes, she needs your help. Focus here, focus. Rotai Jack has been looking for her for I don't know how long. They had some kind of relationship beforehand. It's no longer true and it's no longer there, but he hasn't stopped looking for her. And
what is it you want me to do about this? I'm an inventor, not a relationship person.
He's not looking for her for him. He's looking at her because he's looking for you.
For me?
Yes. He wants to know how to get to De La Fortuna.
As you say that, he sort of gapes a little and the pipe drops from his mouth and clatters onto the decking at his feet. He sort of quickly scoops it up, passes it over to Pierre, sort of like brushing off some of the tobacco that spilled out, and he's like, I'm sorry there, young man. There you go.
No, monsieur. Monsieur, help yourself.
Oh, thank you. And he sort of refills the pipe again. You notice his hands are shaking a bit as he's tamping the tobacco down in the pipe.
I'll help him.
Thank
It
you.
is okay, I
Thank you.
mean, we are friends. We are all friends here. Tell us, why does this make you feel so?
I hope that when I came to this island, I hope I'd never hear the name of that damn place again. I wish to the elemental gods I could have set eyes on it.
Why?
Well, I'm sure you've all heard the tales of cities of gold, fantastic treasures, you know, the normal sort of guff that sailors tell each other when they're in their cups.
Well,
all of it's true, my boy. All of it. There are cities of gold. There are treasures there. But there's a terror to the place. There's always a cost for going to De La Fortuna. I didn't understand that when I went there. Not until I returned. And it's a terrible
yet you survived.
cost.
How did you survive?
What cost did you pay?
He leans forward and you see like a bit of like moisture gathering in the corner of his eyes. He sort of blinks his eyes to clear them, and he says, during my days when I was in the law for someone of my position, I'm sure you can understand, Bishop, has access to many papers, many legends, etc. And I was particularly captivated by tales of a particular treasure that was rumored to be in Della Fortuna. It was supposed to be a cup that was used by the elemental lords to bless their very first priests.
Ah. I'm like, you don't mean D cup.
Yes,
The
that's
one
what I
most
mean.
needed cup of all time.
Yes, that's the one I
Greatest
mean.
piece of treasure ever created by anyone. That it's a rumor. Such thing does not exist.
Well, I tell you, it does exist. I've seen it.
You found it? How? Where? When? You must tell me.
When we were in Della Fortuna, the crew that I'd sailed with, they were filling their chests with treasure, jewels, gold, almost more than a mortal man could spend in his lifetime. But I wasn't interested in that. I thought I was younger then. I thought I knew better. I was only interested in the cup, but I couldn't find it anywhere. I was looking for a jeweled golden cup worthy of the elemental lords, but I found nothing. Then one day, as we were searching, I happened to come upon a small clay drinking vessel, a simple thing, barely any ornamentation, just a plain, simple drinking bowl. And being thirsty at the time, it was a long trek through the humidity of Della Fortuna. I scooped up some water from a fresh pool, had a drink, left the cup where it was, for I thought it was a simple urn, and I went on my way. It was only after we'd left the island that I realised I'd had the cup in my grasp all along.
But if that's true, then what happened to you when you drank it?
I'm sure you're aware of the reputed healing powers that the cup is rumoured to possess.
In order to give someone like possible eternal life, power over what the Lord say, become their avatar and all things.
All of that rot in the sailors' legends. Well, it's not exactly as it is portrayed. The cup does give life, but as I'm sure you're aware, what the Storm Lords give with one hand, they take with the other. And it was only afterwards, on the journey back, we were beset by terrible storms. The waters around Della Fortuna were a terrible thing, and yet somehow I alone of the crew who sailed through it was spared. A number of times I should have met my end and gone to meet the elemental lords. However, each time I was sure that death had befallen me, death passed me over and moved on to someone else.
That seems like such a strange blessing and curse in one. I'm sorry.
It's also part of the reason I moved here. I thought less people around me, the less danger I'll be putting everyone else in.
I understand. Unfortunately, we need your help one more time.
Even knowing the great and terrible cost that my life comes with.
I have two things I must do, and both things require me to take a risk. One is to stop Rot-Eyed Jack in a battle 3 days from now upon the reefs. The other is to find my son, Gregory, who is seeking Della Fortuna right now. Both these require your help.
He lays a hand gently on your shoulder as you say that you're looking for your son, and he nods sympathetically.
I'm going to say to Daedalus, mon ami, I have an idea. This Rot-Eyed Jack and others who are after him, they will always be seeking this city of gold, and if they think that you have the knowledge, many will be seeking you, as this Rot-Eyed Jack does now. We will lure him to this island. We will put an end to this villain. And we will spread the lie amongst the ports that you have died. We will mourn you, and perhaps you will be left alone in peace for your days. We can do none of this if we do not know where the island is.
Very well then. Just give me a few moments, and he walks off into the wooden building, this house that he's built, leaving you all alone on the porch for a few moments. You guys wish to discuss anything whilst he's away?
I give the rest of the crew a double thumbs up and a grin.
Roland will be, I'm guessing we're quite high up on the island.
Yeah, you're like literally on top.
He'll
of
be
the
sort
big
of like canvassing about, looking for any signs of ships. As far as he's concerned, compared to the last island, this has been too easy.
You don't see any signs of like an Inquisition war fleet like heading towards the island or Rottai.
You can't get attacked everywhere.
Indeed not.
Not yet, anyway.
I don't like how John says that with a smile.
I look at everyone and go, I think that I'm not a big fan of trying to spread rumors, but I think that's a fairly decent plan. If he wishes to be left alone, I'm happy to. And the last thing I want is for people to know that someone knows where the location of the Cup of the Gods is. But, wow, De La Fortuna actually exists? Part of me really wants to see him, part of me really wants to find Gregory and bring him home.
So they say.
Alright, that's where we're going.
I meant the promise I made to Daedalus. We lure the rat-eyed Jack to this place, and we end him, or we let the island end him.
Well,
we tell others that he has passed, so he is left alone, eh?
I understand that, but unfortunately we've already agreed to meet Red-Eyed Jack in 3 days' time at the reefs. Unless we find some way of communicating with him.
We will meet him there, and instead of telling him where this Daedalus is, we would tell him what he truly seeks, which is the island.
I let him come here. But
he will he will go to this Isle de Fortuna, and he will meet his end there, one way or another.
If I recall, Nathaniel gave his word to bring Daedalus to him.
Yes.
No,
also,
he gave his word to meet with him, and
I'll bring Daedalus with me. I never said I was going to give him over. We're going to have a duel, if you do recall. But
I have not forgotten.
But at the same time, please remember that is the same time Brother Father Castell is going to be arriving at the reefs as well.
This is a good opportunity for an ambush on both sides.
I understand where you're going, Pierre, with the idea of bringing this over. I'm not very keen on risking Daedalus's life on hoping his curse is stronger than Red-Eye Jack's.
As you're saying this, Daedalus comes walking back out of the front of the building. He's carrying a small wooden box. It's very ornately carved, varnished wood, and he sets it down on one of the empty chairs, and he says that you see his hands are like shaking as he puts the box down, and then he lets go of it almost as though the box is like a poisonous snake that he's worried will bite him. And he says, "There you go," and he points at the box with a shaking finger. Inside that box, my greatest invention. It will take you to De La Fortuna.
Really? Oh, my curiosity's not going to get away with me. I mean, like, it's an actual fucking Daedalus, what's called invention, in front of my face. I'm going to go to the box, I'm going to lift that up.
Okay, you lift the lid of the box, and you can see inside is what appears to be a large compass, but instead of having an arrow moving around in the center of it, it has what appears to be a human finger bone.
Close. Should I not ask how you made this?
He points at the finger bone and he says, "This is the finger bone of one of the very first of the elemental popes."
Oh. Wow.
Is
That
that
must have been quite an adventure.
is that desecration of?
He waves a hand in your direction and he says, "You're aware of the second of the elemental popes, Tremon the Truthful, who was reputed to never have told a lie or a falsehood in his life. He was reputed to be one of the most honest of men." And he looks at you, Nathaniel.
Well, yes, he is, and glory be to his name upon now and forever.
My
His
invention
Ah.
uses this relic from Tremon. It always points truthfully towards the destination a person seeks.
That is absolute genius.
You know, that puffs out his chest, sort of rises up in his. Well, I am one of the greatest inventors of the age.
I didn't even think that. Of course, this will take you anywhere as long as you know where you say the destination, because it will never point wrong. That's all right. Possible sacrilege, but most importantly, this could take us to the Fortuna.
And your son.
And my son. Most importantly, my son.
You know, I'd like to offer you a fate point at this point, Roland.
Okay.
And I'd like to suggest the complication being that, as you say, your son, Daedalus, thinks that you're talking to him rather than Nathaniel, because obviously he doesn't know really Nathaniel's background.
Give me that sweet fate point.
Okay, have yourself a merry little fatemas time, as I give you a fate point. Okay, Daedalus looks across at you and in a slightly crotchety voice says, "What do you know about my son?"
Oh,
Talk to
God.
us.
Oh, God.
I told you. I told you.
I'll turn to Roland like, what do you know about his son?
Well, I was talking about Nathaniel's son. What? So looking around at Daedalus for the first time for a while. My eyes have been on the scary compass.
And I'll turn towards sorry, after you go on.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, as a way to perhaps try and distract Daedalus, I'm going to thank him for the gift, and as a return gift, I'm going to give him the pipe and the pouch of tobacco I have on me.
I will say that
Just,
if you're willing to spend one of your free invokes of new best friend, you've successfully distracted him.
perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
So just as he's going, "What do you know about my son?" You're sort of like, "Would you like this massive pouch of tobacco and the pipe?" And he's like, "Oh," and like completely distracted, slightly absent-minded. He's getting on a bit. Takes the tobacco off you, and then he's like puffing away on the pipe, and he's like, "What was I saying? Well, never mind."
I think it might be time to have some food, eh?
Guys, I have an aspect that says blood is thicker than water. I wouldn't let this drop.
Yeah, well, you
Take
might.
that compel.
Tell you what, I'll hold off until after we finish eating, because it'll still be in my mind. I'll be like, no, I need to know what's happened to his son. If something's with his son, I might be able to help. So I'll wait till after.
Okay. So you all have a fairly enjoyable meal with the supplies you brought with you, and Daedalus actually has some victuals that he's grown from like plants on the island, etc.
No, we bring it. We try and get him to eat our stores. He can say.
Oh yeah, it quite happily took him to yours, but he insists on contributing. He actually takes you around the side of his house. You can see that he appears to have actually built like a small sort of irrigation ditch, like a sort of very well-made system using these bamboo pipes again to like water these crops he's got, and he's sort of showing it off quite proudly and insists on like combining some of his food that he's grown with the stuff that you've bought, you know, as a sign of friendship and hospitality. But he's quite happy to tuck into your stuff as well.
The whole time I'm doing
Very
like
good.
taking notes and just like looking at the architecture stuff.
He says, "Oh, you think that's good, my priestly friend?" And he says, "Just go over to that bamboo tube there and remove the cork from the end of it."
Boop.
Okay, as you take the cork out, you see what appears to be fresh water running out of this bamboo tube.
This has to be by the gods. Oh my good lord, is this happening? And like I look him like, oh.
He's like, yes, there's a fresh spring further up in the cliffs, and well, I built this rudimentary device to bring the water down here to me. Like I say, I'm not a young man anymore. I can't be traipsing up this bloody mountainside every time I want to get some water. So when I was a bit younger, I thought, why not bring the water to me? And then he sort of puts the cork back in the end and says, well, it doesn't need to waste it. It's not a limitless supply. And he tamps the cork back into the end of it. But if any of you need water, please help yourselves.
Captain, can we stay a few more days? Maybe 3, maybe 5. No, wait,
we have a tight schedule, Nathaniel.
You're right. Tight schedule. Duel, Sun, La Fortuna. Yes, sorry.
Inquisitors.
We can come back someday, eh?
At which point Daedalus says, yes, I'd like that. I know I've tried to cut myself off from people, but it does get terribly lonely here, apart from the occasional visit when Carlotta brings me surprise.
I beg your pardon?
Carlotta.
Carlotta.
I'll take the time to top up water skins and stuff, the quartermaster.
No problem. As you're doing that, Daedalus says, yes, see, there's some rocks in the pipes further up. The water filters through them and clears out any impurities. It's rudimentary, but it serves my needs. After all, there's only me here.
I love this place. So I come and take my seat next to him, and I just want to hear him tell me more about his inventions, because I'm completely enthralled.
Okay, so he carries on chatting to you, and he says, yes, of course, after he's had a bit more to drink, and he's actually bought out some of his own ales that he's fermented on the island, and he's quite happily sharing them with you. And he says, so after he's had a bit, and you see he's obviously not really used to drinking with company. He's probably drank a bit more than he would normally do. He's a bit merry. He says, yes, of course, Daedalus isn't the name I was born with, of course, but who's going to follow the great inventor of the age, Leonard Allard? No, Daedalus is a far better name.
Leonard? Your name was Leonard? That's a fantastic name.
No, it doesn't really strike the same thing as Daedalus, does it? Now, there's a name you'd expect a great inventor like myself to have. He says, slurring his words a little bit.
Leonard is a fantastic name for people from Lawford, meaning strength and strongness and all the things that come from it. You could have stuck with that name. I mean, nothing's wrong with Daedalus.
I could have done, but after I left Lawford, I wanted to leave all that life behind me. I didn't want to be reminded of what they tried to get me to do there. So I thought, new start, new name, new me.
I suppose that's probably also sensible. Maybe I should have a new name. I feel like Nathaniel's just, I just feel like Nathaniel doesn't really embody the ideals of the church that I'm trying to go for. Maybe something a bit more open, a bit more accepting.
He sort of laughs and splutters a bit of his ale out when you say that, and it's like, open and accepting the church.
Well, present company notwithstanding, and the whole, we're a very accepting church.
He sort of raises an eyebrow and looks at you as if he's like, really?
So long as you're not blessed by gifts, shall we say.
Alright, so there are some issues with the church that the last few months has been showing me, which I'm sure we can work out eventually when we figure out our own problems, but for most intents and purposes, the church does good. It helps people, it brings things forward, it helps solve problems. I mean, imagine all the charity work that we've done to the people of Highport.
Imprisons poor women on islands, blinded for all their eternity.
That is the Lord's way, and perhaps, yes, the gods are cruel, but they are kind as they are cruel. They give and they take with equal hands. There must be equivalent exchange. That is how the church works.
Well, I don't know about that, but some of the things the Orthodoxy does to their followers, I simply can't approve of it.
There are people who are a bit more zealous in their beliefs, but that comes from having a unified faith. There would eventually be people who think a bit further up. We're not all bad. Not all high fort priests are evil.
Well, how do you justify the void callers then? What about them? You can't tell me they're a good thing.
Well, the void callers are a bit of a necessary evil for people who are not. Oh, I turned around and I noticed that Roland is there. Well,
Yes, Nathaniel?
well, look, not all Inquisitors, all right? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Surely you're not telling me, Father. How can you justify severing a person from their connection to the elemental lords, all in the name of rooting out people you don't agree with? Huh.
Those are
Preposterous.
voluntary actions, sir. People volunteer to make the sacrifice to do that. It's never done not on purpose. These people are...
Like hell we do.
Not all of them volunteer.
What? No. All of them do volunteer, Daedalus.
Absolute rot. I tell you, sir, they don't. What do you think they do with people who they can't control? You don't think they just turn them loose and let them wander about doing their thing?
They find a way to purify them. Do not insult the church like this, sir. It's perfectly fine. It's mostly good.
Daedalus is obviously quite drunk now, and he's sort of jabbing his finger at you, and he's like, "They do find a way to purify them by severing their elemental connection to the elemental lords."
This is a necessary evil that must happen, Daedalus. You cannot just stand around and let people run around with powers doing God knows what else to people around the neighborhood. It's not how it works.
And I tell you that there should be a better way. Mutilating someone's spirit simply to make everyone else feel safe.
Well, that's how things are supposed to be
Ridiculous.
now. If they weren't supposed to be doing that, they wouldn't be having those powers in the... And I stop because Roland is right there. I'm going for a walk.
I don't think he's coming back.
Wow, that's often the way you'll find with these priests. Once you actually shine the cold light of logic on their beliefs, that their beliefs just evaporate like mist in the morning. That's why I've no time for it myself.
Just because I can't speak back to you does not mean that you are not a terrible person.
I bet he ignores you and he goes, I believe in things I can see, things I can touch, things that can be measured scientifically.
Yeah, I saw one of these Inquisitors, and they don't have any souls.
No, just so, youngster, just so.
No, I mean literally.
I've seen the procedure performed a couple of times. Terrible business.
Yeah, what is it?
Wow. And he leans closer and he says, what they do is they take a person, they take, let's call it a receptacle, and they sever that part of a person that makes them, well, a person, and they pour it into this receptacle. Now, I'm told that the lack of a connection to the elemental lords allows them to sense that connection in others, and it also makes them more difficult to affect with the powers of the elemental lords. But that doesn't seem like a reasonable price to pay for the loss of someone's soul to me, no matter how the church try and paint it.
Sounds barbaric.
It is barbaric. It has no place in a civilized world. But then it's not a civilized world we live in, is it? More's the pity.
I'll have to agree with you.
I'm going to, I'll say, I share your thoughts regarding the church, but as you say, actions matter, and I have seen the actions of this Nathaniel, and for the most part, his art is in the right place, if his head is not always there.
Well, perhaps you're right. I don't suppose everyone within the church can approve these actions or be involved in them, but how do you know the good people who follow the faith from the bad people? That's what I ask. It's not like they wear badges or anything.
This is true, but we have spent some time with this one, and I think he is one of the good ones.
Well, you seem like an honest, upstanding person to me, Pierre, so I'll take your word for it on this matter, but I generally prefer to have nothing to do with the church, the Orthodoxy or the Reformed Church.
As do I. We are eye to eye on this, huh?
Indeed.
Still, he is my friend. I should go talk to him. I'll be back soon. I'm going to set off to find him.
Okay, not a problem. So, Pierre, you find Nathaniel walking through the trees a short distance off.
Damn old man.
Mon ami, a few words, eh?
What? No! Don't do that. It scared me.
What, say mon ami?
No, you came behind me. I was in my own thoughts.
I could not catch up to you from the... Never mind. This Daedalus, I know he does not share your ideology with the gods, but not everyone in the world is going to agree with those thoughts, And remember, we are only here for a short time, and this is a great inventor, Daedalus. So
Yes.
perhaps if you can just avoid the arguments, he is not going to be convinced anyway. Think of how much you can learn, Think of what you can do with this knowledge.
Look, fine. I'll keep my mouth shut about the gods. We still need to take him with us anyway.
We
just can't believe I'm doing this. Tell me what's up.
just remember, he is the great inventor. He can teach you much.
Yes, he is a great inventor who doesn't believe in it anymore. She thinks he's so amazing.
If you wish to come back here sometime to learn more from him, it may be best to not be so...
I'm fine. I said I'm fine. I'm fine. All right. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay,
I'm
so whilst Nathaniel and Pierre are off having this conversation, obviously Captain Roland and Faziba, you have a few minutes alone with Daedalus. Is there anything you wish to ask or discuss while those two are off having their chat?
No, I don't have anything.
Roland would like to ask Daedalus. So you seem like a man who knows a bit about curses, like my friend here. Do you know anything that we could use if we have to confront Eye Jack in person? Any knowledge or things in those books of yours that can help?
I'm afraid, young man, I'm no expert on these things. I only know what I've observed. It's not really my area of expertise, to be honest. I only know about my own because I've observed it. I've measured it.
But it does not affect you the same way as his.
I don't know. I've never met him. I have no idea how his curse affects him.
Oh, it seemed like he knew you. He was most intent to find you.
Well, he's probably heard of me. After all, I am somewhat renowned.
How do you know the lady? Carlotta.
Carlotta, yes.
Yes,
well,
Carlotta.
Her ship was Carlotta. Anyway, her ship was damaged in the vicinity of my island, and rather like I did with yourselves, I attempted to scare her away at first, but I'm not a cruel man. I saw her ship was in some distress, so I offered to help, and it occurred to me that whilst I was helping them, they could be of service to me. There are some things, although I can grow my own food, I have my own water supply, there are some things, like this fine tobacco your friend gave me, that I simply can't make myself on this island. So I agreed to help her repair her ship and get underway, if she would agree to keep the location of my home secret, and occasionally bring me supplies.
A fair trade.
Indeed. And well, whilst... which is I am an old man, it wasn't any hardship to have a beautiful young woman on the island occasionally.
Ron is not accustomed to believing in legends of crazy stories. Some of the things they say about Daedalus, like you have some really interesting inventions. Would you have anything that could help us on my ship? I had stories that maybe you invented some kind of gunpowder that was useful.
I destroyed any of my research that I thought could be used for war. I could perhaps if you have time, I could perhaps have a look at your vessel, see if I can make it a little quicker or more efficient. I could certainly do that for you, but I swore when I left Lawful behind that I would not use my inventions to inflict harm on other people. And that's something I stick to, young man.
I can understand your principles.
Well,
But it is to a
of
good
course,
cause.
if we abandon our principles, then how are we any better than animals?
This island, then, it's truly real?
This island that we're on now, of course it's real.
No, I meant Fortuna.
Well, yes, I said I went there, didn't I? Of course it's real.
The riches are real. The gold, you could take the gold. There is actual gold to be taken.
Yes, there's gold, there's riches. Didn't I say as much?
Enough.
You really must pay more attention, young man.
No, I just wasn't quite believing. No offense. This cup, if we find it,
If I were you, I would leave it well alone, young man. Take my word for it, the benefit you get from it is not equal to the cost.
the gods always win in those kind of trades.
Wise words.
But there would be enough money to retire, if one wanted to do so.
Oh, yes, there's more wealth there than a man could spend in a lifetime, assuming, of course, you can get it back.
I do have an interesting crew.
As you're saying this is the point where Pierre and Nathaniel return.
Everyone, I feel I owe you all apology. Perhaps I let my anger speak over my words, and as a Bishop of High Fault, I should not let such things happen. I apologize to all people involved, especially Daedalus, Leonard.
Oh, that's fine. I'm too old to bear a grudge. Sit down and have another drink.
Thank you.
And again, he gestures at the chair, and like a gust of wind sort of slides it towards you a couple of inches.
How is he doing that? And I'll take a seat.
So I think maybe we'll spend the night here with them, and then go in the morning. It's already early evening.
Mm-hmm.
So during the course of the evening, I'm going to hit him with a lot of questions that are easy for him to answer, questions about his exploits, previous inventions. I'm going to avoid all sort of controversial topics, only asking questions about things he'd be easily willing to talk about, that kind of thing.
Yep, not a problem. He quite happily chats to you about his many and various inventions, although you notice he pointedly doesn't mention anything that's of a more sort of violent nature. He's always talking about the inventions that could have benefited mankind, and his conversation generally takes the line of like, he could have given the world a lot of inventions that would have made the world a lot safer place and would have removed some of the drudgeries of everyday life from people. But alas, all people wanted to do was fight and war amongst each other.
Right, so I'm going to like totally basically be a yes man, agree with everything he says. I've done lots of this kind of stuff in the courts back in my home place. So at some point when he mentions making the ship faster, I'm going to invite him to come see the ship tomorrow morning and maybe, give us some tips on how we could do this. We give him a tour of the ship, show it to him, and he could give us some tips on how to do it.
Yes, of course. I'll be happy to have a look at your vessel for you. That's not a problem. If you'll all please excuse me, though, I do have some business I need to attend to. Feel free to stay here, drink, eat. I'll rejoin you all shortly. I just have a small private matter I need to take care of.
Perhaps something I can be of assistance. Sir?
He smiles at you sadly and then says, "No, it's just a private matter I need to deal with. But thank you."
I nod. Does he go into the house?
Indeed, he sort of goes into the house. He comes out of the house carrying what appears to be a small bunch of flowers, and then he heads off into the woods at the side of his building.
You kind of sidle over to Tasbia. What can you read of this man? Something perhaps magical, spiritual about him?
About Daedalus?
Not everyone we meet are what they seem on the surface, huh? Yes, Daedalus.
Daedalus, I was just gone for it. Okay. No, he seems to be normal. The moon should be cursed, so I'm not sure.
Well, Nathaniel, I know it was your intention to take him to Caesar's Daedalus.
Yes.
I suppose I have convinced him to come aboard the ship.
Well, we have told him we're taking him with us, right?
No.
Shouldn't we mention that?
Yes, somebody should tell him.
All right, then I'll inform him tomorrow and ask him to come with us, if only to help us.
If I can make a suggestion, inform him of this while he is on board. Huh?
I feel like that might come across as deceitful and slightly overassertive. I mean,
How important is it that we keep this meeting?
very. I gave my word.
Is it so important that you would be willing to maybe seem a little bit assertive in getting it done?
I am no liar.
Then we are in agreement. Eh? I am not asking to lie. I am asking you merely to time your request well, huh?
What if he wants to go back and get his things?
Well, let us cross the bridge of problems when they exist, huh?
That's my line. Fine, we'll do it your way.
Use your own logic
again.
against you to convince you.
I will do it your way. However, when it blows up in your face, I will mention that I told you so.
Mon ami, you are a puzzle, huh? You seek to get the impossible done, but you are not willing to do the things necessary to do it.
I simply just take a different route than you normally do. You prefer to use deceit and guile to get your actions. I prefer simply just to take the bull by the horns and just say what I want to do. There's a difference.
Tell me, mon ami, when we make this request of him, do you think he will be willing to meet up with this rat-eyed jerk?
Yes.
Then you do not know him at all.
I have a feeling if we simply told him the words of what we need to do and why we're doing it, which is true, if we just told him, he would be willing to help us.
Yes. Well, as I suggested, I suggest you wait till he is aboard before you make this request of him.
I'll take your word on board and I'll do it the way you say it, and we'll see how it turns out from there.
Mm-hmm.
As you guys are finishing speaking, Daedalus emerges from the woods at the side of his house. He's no longer carrying the flowers that he went into the woods with, and you see the sort of red rims around his eyes as though perhaps he's been crying or something similar. He walks up without saying a word, sits down on his chair, has another drink, and then he says, "So, tell me about this ship of yours." And as he says that, we're going to fade to black, and that is where we will end this evening's session.
Excellent. Cool.
I hope you all enjoyed that session, guys. Thank you very much for playing. I'm quite happy to chat for a bit afterwards, and we'll sort out milestones, etc. But for now, I'm going to end the broadcast here.